Watching on Warchant TV, watching there in the chat. Hello to you all. Thanks for supporting us that way as well. As for Florida State, that's a sizable class, huh? 32 players. Seriously, that made me feel good. That made me feel good that they signed 32 people. I've got to believe. I mean, I don't know which of these guys will make the biggest impact, but when you went through and looked at all the names, and if you go over to warchant.com, you'll see the story. FSU inks 32 players on first day of early signing period, recruit bios and stats. That's the article I'm referencing. I liked going through all of that. I liked going through the recruit bios and stats and looking at who these kids were and where they're from. It is it's one of those sort of hopeful moments. You can wish for the best. You can think that maybe there's, you don't need 32 difference makers, although we might right about now, but you would hope. I don't know what a normal hit rate is for a great class, Tom. I don't know what the recruiting experts would say that number is. Percentage wise, and it's always in retrospect. You always have to go back after a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, and see what it was. But what's a good hit rate?
No, I've got no clue on that one. What I would say, because the portal now obfuscates the issue, because it used to be that this was the lifeblood and you had much better numbers, but now portal guys can overtake high school recruits, and maybe that delays the success of a high school recruitment by a year or two if the kid actually developed into something good. I think the short answer would be, for our purposes, a lot higher than we've done in recent years.
Well, that's for sure.
But last year was better. Last year's the 25 class was better. Yeah. So it gives you a little bit of hope.
Well, the reason I asked the question, it wasn't in any way cynical. I just, you are throwing a lot of numbers at the problem. And, I don't ever claim, you guys know when you listen to this show that you don't come here for my recruiting analysis. That's never been the thing on this show. And I've been doing this show for a real long time. It's not my cup of tea. But luckily, there are a lot of people who work in this industry, and some of them for us, who do a very good job of looking at a class and grading out what these kids, were thought to be or where they rank. We all know it's not a sure thing.
I don't know. I think some people do tune in for a little bit of expertise from you.
Hello once again, friends. It's time for What Them Kids Doing.
Look at that jibber jabber Jeff. What's that kid reach? How fast is he running?
Hey, who let you in here?
Look at him. I bet he can bench a lot. What them kids doing, Jeff?
I forgot about what them kids doing, Tom, briefly.
And apparently the clip forgot about the volume because that was very low. But I'll fix that later.
By the way, what them kids doing, we had a great time with that, because for years I could be in the middle of any subject and somebody would either write in. Back when we took calls, people were like, yeah, that's great. Can you tell me about, Chris Carbon, Jeff? Well, no, I was looking at the game that we've got next week, or the big matchup over here. No, but what is he? Now, I know he's 6'4". Do you think that's an accurate 6'4"? Is he more like 6'5"? How big are his thighs, Jeff? And I would go, well, I've never seen Chris Carbon play high school football. I don't know. They say he's big and strong.
I won't say who I talked to this week on one of the shows, but the response I got from them in terms of the who the player was and how his frame is.
You're like, woo!
No, the answer was quote unquote good girth. I said, all right.
Okay. We're going to keep it moving.
Could have said 260 and we would have,
Now, yeah. I'm not saying that I haven't gone down the road of assessing a recruit's body, because that would be hypocritical.
Oh, of course we have. Yeah.
I have many times said that kid's got a giant ass, and that's what I'm looking for. Now, that's the extent of my recruiting analysis. When we look at kids on the offensive and defensive line, which is where I tend to look, I say, got a thick ass? Got a whole lot of ass to him? All right, that's a good sign.
You're Al Pacino in Heat.
Yeah.
Big ass!
But yeah.
That was when you saw Mario Edwards Jr. for the first time on
like,
Picture Day.
Look at his ass.
Right. You're standing on the field.
I said it to you.
Yes, we're standing on the field before they take
Here
their
you go,
photos.
kids. You like the behind-the-scenes stuff? We are walking on the field, Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field. The new recruits are there. We're taking it in. We're looking at everybody. I see him turn to Tom and go, look at that kid's ass. That's what I'm talking about. Tom's like, oh, okay.
And it wasn't the library volume for the moment either. What? Sir, what are we doing?
Me and Bill Belichick out here checking asses when it comes down to trench players. That's how this goes.
Some people just say frame, good base.
Man, we don't have to beat around the bush. I'm secure in my own manhood here. I don't need to try to put on airs. I'm not worried about what you think that means. I'm talking about this guy's got a big ass. You ain't going to displace him very easily. He's got a whole lot of what for to him.
Look at those broad shoulders.
I didn't say that now, did I?
No, you didn't. Crabtree's ability.
I talked about, and with like a receiver, you'll say, he's fast. With a middle linebacker, I tend to look for a little crazy.
Yeah.
I want to know you got a little crazy to you. If you're a linebacker, yeah, you got to have the requisite size and all those things too, but you got a little crazy to you? Were there rumors that, short-tempered, going to be hard to keep that guy out of jail? All right.
They're nervous about this particular signee. Like, whoop.
That's
right.
a signee that I'm like, all right. Is he a linebacker? That's great.
In the old days, fullback? Surratt was tasered the one time and it required a second taser, allegedly. It required a second
taser. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I remember loving, we all did, but O'Leary, and when that footage came out of O'Leary getting hit by an effing bus,
that's right,
flying off his motorcycle and off the windshield of a bus, and then getting up and walking away, I'm like, that's my tight end right there. That's my tight end. It's my guy. So who the hell that is? Got hit by a bus, brushed off the shards, and took it on down the road. Woo! That's doing some things.
Went to the lunch table and bullied some walk-ons. There you go. That's a day in the life of Nick O'Leary.
Well, but he produced and then some. And he produced one of the great plays in Florida State history. The trucking at the end of a blowout over that poor kid for Clemson.
Yeah.
Woo.
In case there was any doubt, that was the reminder. That and Jimbo calling play action off his own goal line.
Which is really funny.
Yeah.
That was Jimbo going, here's a little more.
Yeah.
I got a little more.
That was the national press. I can recall Staples and Adelson, David Hale, and others, because that was the game of the weekend in the sport, all going, as it was happening. Before the ball was out of the quarterback's hand when they saw the play action and the wide open. They go,
man. I think we all did. We're like, yeah,
okay.
That's the mentality. That's what I'm talking about right there. That is what I'm talking about. But back to what I was saying as I began the program, I did look at that listing and go through all of the guys. I don't know if the experiments that we're engaging in, where we take these kids from the NFL academy, is going to work, but it's fine. Well done, Melissa. Lots of funk in the trunk and a short fuse. Yeah.
Add to cart.
That's what I want in my linebacker. Let's go. Let's go. I also would point out, Tom, that as much as I've made of the current situation and the concerns that we all have regarding what's happening with Florida State football and where it's all headed, I have to admit, I think it's interesting to note that the fine folks up in Happy Valley have to be thinking, I'm not real sure we know what we're doing. Guys, does this feel like we had no plan whatsoever? Because it's looking more and more like we had no plan whatsoever.
Sigs or bust? Or in this case, Sigs or butts?
What's funny about that, too, is they blew it with the situation with what's his name, Sataki, the coach at BYU. They blew it with him because it got out that they were see, it's really hard to do this, I think. But you got to try to keep certain things quiet when you're poaching somebody else's coach. When you're taking from somebody else's team or program, and that program, for example, is, in the midst of playing meaningful games late in the year, you're going to try to keep that under wraps until it is done, until it is a finalized, we good here, sign on the line, which is dotted, let's make this public. Because if not, you can have what happened at BYU happen, which is that really rich alumni are like, no, he's one of us. He went here. We aren't exactly a school that can hire from the same pool as everybody else. Kind of need to keep him around. And then they went in and paid him accordingly.
It's not quite the same thing, but Virginia Tech was at risk. They were at risk for weeks with James Franklin being rumored to take their job and then nothing happening. And then the agent leaking to the world, he's going to have to take this job at some point.
Well, we know what that was. They were waiting on FSU.
They were calling on us.
They were calling on FSU.
Well, and I'm sure they were throwing darts at Arkansas or UF or Auburn or someplace else too. Hey,
anywhere over here. Yeah.
He really doesn't want to take this job if you'd offer him, but we got a couple of days to work with because they finally got wise here in Blacksburg.
Yeah. Look, when we get done with all of this, it'll take many, many years. It's been an interesting coaching carousel. It's been a sort of, what do you think, for example? I think the vast majority of this fan base, when they found out that USF was making the move that they did with Heartline, their heart sunk a little bit. Because I think if you were going to take a poll of the people that, if you took a vote, hey, who would you have wanted from the pool of unproven or less than, I guess, earth-shattering names that you could choose from to come in and take over at Florida State? Who's the guy you'd like to take the risk on? I think Heartline would have been on top of most people's lists. Like a guy who has never been a head coach, but you kind of feel like you may be getting him at a time where we're going to look back and go, that was a damn good hire. He probably was on everybody's short list.
Yeah, if this cycle was a fishing magazine, this would at least be a fishing magazine with a very nice-looking lady in a two-piece on the cover. So, well, if I'm going to read a fishing magazine, this is the fishing magazine that I'm going to read. That's right. What he was. The whole thing for me, I know a lot of people wanted Heartline. The whole thing for me was, what's the price of the next guy? I just never wanted the price of the next hire to be high.
I don't think it has to be.
Right, exactly. And Summerall is a little bit higher than I was thinking if they were going to make the move, but clearly it was for them zero sum, if you believe Mark Schleybaugh, of 13, 14 million for the next guy and the next operation for Lane, or no move at all. Like that's the way that right now the wires have it, is that we were involved with Lane and then there really wasn't much traction anywhere else.
Yeah, I think we were either used by Lane or not involved with Lane at all.
I can't imagine that would have been a serious pursuit, and I would have been furious if they did it, because that would be the very mortgaging thing that they're afraid in terms of the firing and the hiring. Like that to me would have made little to no sense.
I don't.
But Heartline, I don't know what the terms are with the USF deal. I can't imagine it's super expensive. So if it comes in around like 4 or 5, I'm like, damn, that could have been our guy for 4 or 5.
Heartline you could have had probably Golesh. You could have had, obviously if Florida was in the pursuit of Lane, you could have made a run at Summerall. There are several guys you could have made a run at.
Summerall probably would have cost us about 8, because if Florida has him at 7 and change and you got into that bidding war, so that means.
Oh, if you got into a bidding war with Florida, what I'm saying is if you had reached out to him prior, Florida was all in on Lane.
Yeah.
They got snubbed by Lane, period. They desperately wanted Lane. That's who they were trying to get. They didn't get him. Summerall's their fallback plan. I've said to some Florida fans that may end up being the best thing that ever happened to you. Maybe not. I don't know. But Summerall has been a winner everywhere he's ever been. I like his mindset. When you listen to his interviews and the way that he talks about football, I tend to be in lockstep with him. So I would have been fine with him coming here, but I couldn't have gone on the air and guaranteed it was going to be a success. We're not in that era of football anymore. We don't know. Florida will have to wait and see. And I'm sure there's a contingent in that fan base that's like, are you kidding me? We took another guy from a same conference that didn't have a great success at a track record at a huge place, but they don't know either. We don't know. That's the problem with all of this. I was for moving on though, and that's where we were.
Well, their conclusion at Gainesville was, we know this doesn't work, and so we're going to move on from this because we know this doesn't work. So we're going to take another shot.
Yeah, yes, and that's where your and I heads are at. Is that we?
Yeah, the difference for me is I wasn't thinking get rid of Mike and go get me a $12 million coach. I think a lot of fans are actually in that camp where they're saying go swing for the downs. You're Florida State. For me, it was, I know this doesn't work. Let's go get a cheap guy who, in terms of the cost.
Yeah.
And then we're not on the hook if this thing doesn't work in a couple of years, but we're going to restructure it. We're going to start it now from the top down. And maybe if that coach costs you 6.5, okay, fine. But you don't need to be signing somebody for 10 or 12.
No, you want sensible buyouts. You saw the buyout language in Summerall's deal.
For the very reason that nobody is a sure thing right now.
No.
So let's pay people accordingly.
Yeah, it's all frustrating. We've certainly had this discussion time and again. When I heard the whispers of Lane, I was like, it seems almost convenient that came out the way that it did. I don't believe Lane ever seriously considered Florida State. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I would doubt that too.
Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Injured? Call Fasik Brooks and come back stronger. Offices, Tallahassee.
Big news! Café de Martín has been named one of America's best restaurants, and we want to celebrate with you. On December 10th from 1 to 4 p.m., a national film crew will be in the restaurant capturing the magic of our food, our people, and our community. Come dine with us, enjoy your favorites, and you just might be featured on camera. Join the celebration at Café de Martín, December 10th, 1 to 4 p.m. Café de Martín, where every plate tells a story.
Pinch a Penny Pools has 12,000 square feet of hot tubs, over 20,000 gallons of tub capacity to choose from. That's 4,620,000 cubic inches of hot tubs. But if you don't want to take my word for it, check them out yourself. Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas, locally owned, and the easiest way to find relaxation at home.
It's where you raise your kids, where friends become family, where every corner has a story worth telling. It's your neighborhood. At ABC 27, we share those stories, bringing you news that connects communities, builds pride, and reminds us we're part of something bigger. We are ABC 27, in your neighborhood.
I got some pretty spooky news from my Paul's Termite and Pest Control technician the other day. It turns out that I'm sharing my home with Formosan termites. Those little monsters do damage about 4 times faster than the regular termites. Fortunately, Paul's discovered them on a routine general pest service, and they've already turned the Formosans back using an amazing treatment called Centricon.
Paul's was the first to introduce the Centricon termite colony elimination system to North Florida and is the leader in this non-invasive treatment. Instead of dumping gallons and gallons of harsh chemicals into our soil, Centricon uses environmentally sensitive treatments loaded in bait stations. These stations are placed around the home. Termites are present, they feed, and take it back to the colony, which is then destroyed. To learn more about Centricon and a free consultation, go to callpauls.com for the elimination of termite or any other pest.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, T-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks, we fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, T-SparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Tired of calling 1-800 numbers just to get put on hold? Flush those numbers down the drain and call Terry West Plumbing and Septic Services, now offering Terry's Toilets, providing clean, reliable porta potties for any job site, special event, or backyard party. Real local people doing real work. No robots, no AI, no call centers. For all your septic services and portable restroom needs, one local call wipes away the competition. Call 850-510-8558. That's 510-8558. Or visit terrywestplumbing.com. When you call, we answer.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I think a lot of people will be paying close attention to what Heartline does at USF is where I wanted to circle back.
Yeah, it's a staging area.
It's a staging area. Now, if you're a USF grad or fan of any kind, you might take offense to that, but you also understand the situation that USF's in. It is an ongoing and changing landscape for USF. They're pouring money in. They're getting a stadium. It's going to be an on-campus stadium that is opening in, 27?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, they're hoping to have put themselves in prime position. The only thing that I worry about is if you have designs on Heartline, okay, and you wanted him to get a head coaching job first and see how well he handles it. Excuse me. My fear is, did you note that it's a 6-year deal, not a 4-year deal?
I did not see the terms. No.
The
6 years, huh?
It's a 6-year deal, which is non-traditional. Ordinarily, you'd see a 4-year deal there. So that's a 6-year deal. And then there's part of me that says, look, if you're Heartline, I think you were probably waiting on what? The Michigan job or the Penn State job or maybe somewhere down the road, the Ohio State job. You were looking to do what some of the other big name former coordinators that are now head coaches did. You look at a guy like Kirby, for example. He bided his time, but his first head coaching opportunity, well, that's a damn big one. Turned out to be Georgia. Heartline was kind of in a position, and as well thought of as he was, and positioned to kind of maybe pick where it is he wants to go, to kind of wait it out is what it seemed like. He could have waited out and gotten a big job, but he chose this job. He's ready to be a head coach. A lot of guys are ready to get on with the getting, as I like to say. So he gets on with the getting, and he goes to a place that if you're him, sure, you would leave if the right place asked you. And that is to say that Florida State, no matter the great dire straits they find themselves in currently, is still a hell of a lot better from a cachet standpoint and a positioning standpoint than USF is. So if 2 years from now, Florida State were to say, hey, come on down, I think he would leave USF for Florida State.
I think the 6 years obviously is his leverage of that. He could have held out if he wanted to, but I'm not coming to you at USF for 4 years. You got to give me a longer term commitment, and you got to give me more runway than that in order for me to succeed or fail. Because as we talked about yesterday, Clemson just did the same thing, sending somebody well, they didn't send them. USF poached somebody from Clemson just a few years ago in Jeff Scott, and that blew up in Jeff's face.
Well, it blew up in USF's face too, because he did a poor job.
Right, but what I'm saying, if I'm Brian Hartline, I'm looking at that situation. I'm saying, well, okay, so he's one and done as a head coach after that. If I'm going to be one and done, you're going to give me 6 years of security.
Sure,
for
from
me
an
to
agent
leave
standpoint,
Ohio
you're
State.
going to make your money. Yeah, but I also think in reverse, though, is true too. I think USF was trying to commit to him in a way that say, we believe in you. We think you can build something special here. We're in a very pivotal moment in our program's history. We're about to finally break through and have that on-campus facility. We've been in good standing as of late, thanks to the outgoing coach and Mr. Golish. And we think this could be a program of your own. This could be you may not want to go somewhere else if you build this the way that we think you're capable of, and I hope that you think you're capable of.
Yeah, they want to be the group of Indiana, not the power version of Indiana, but they want to be that. And then that becomes more attractive, and then perhaps they can get poached into the big
great
leagues.
Expansion happens, of course.
They're doing everything right now. USF is.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it may not work out for them. This may blow up in their face like the Jeff Scott thing did, but they're doing everything right to put themselves in a position to have a huge payday for themselves on multiple levels.
And when I say we're going to watch carefully, for a lot of reasons, the blowback with Heartline for a lot of people when you'd hear people in FSU circles say, well, I want Hartline. Other FSU people would be like, look, man, I get it. You're going to tell me he's a great recruiter and that he's done an awesome job developing wide receivers. But this is what happens anytime you're somewhere successful. The question becomes, did you have all that success with the receivers? Because the clay that you're molding is a little different. It's not like Smith got there and just learned how to play wide receiver because of Hartline.
And well, the scarlet and gray for 25 years has been the standard
They
of the
just
sport.
churn out studs over and over and over again. And so the receiver coach tends not to get nearly as much praise in that moment because the caliber of player you're bringing in, Emeka Egbuka, amongst others, is the elite of the elite of the elite. So how much are you really responsible for? You can't give him no credit. I mean, you can't have that many wide receivers kick ass under his watch and then say, well, you're not responsible for any of it. At the same time, you don't get a ton of credit for taking a bona fide, surefire, can't miss, 5-star, elite level athlete and ensuring that he doesn't, suck. You don't get a ton of pressure of love for that. So there's a combination of, yeah, sure, you developed great receivers who were all great when they got there and were physical freaks. The other part that people do, if you're going to be arguing against them, I'm not taking that side. I'm just saying this is what you hear. Well, it's pretty easy to recruit to Ohio State. I mean, they've got that thing rolling. It was rolling before you got there. They've had a system in place to bring the best of the best in college football to their backyard for a long time now, and they're certainly not lacking the funding to do so. So how great a recruiter are you? In some ways, that's not fair to him because it's hard to sustain that level of excellence. And you do have to build relationships. And there are other big-time programs attempting to pay these same players and woo those kids away from you. And yet you seem to come up roses every time. So you had to have done something right. We'll be watching. Does he recruit at an elite level at USF? Well, I think it's impossible to recruit at an elite level at USF if you're comparing it to Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Southern Cal at this point because they're back invested. But could you, for USF? Yeah, you could. You could be a perennial player to win the conference. Yeah.
And if you're the group of 5, let's say in a 3 out of 4 year run, you're the team that's always making the playoff. Well, now your status goes up and away because you're talking about path to playoff, and then maybe you get poached into another power conference. But this is a guy who's my peer. He went to college during the lost decade, 05 to 08. He's born in 86, just like me.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not quite 40 yet. And here it is. It's a chance for him to make a 15 or 20-year decision if it all works at USF, and they project very well in the next 15 or 20 years because what are we trying to do as a university right now? Make a move on a medical institution to help raise our profile. USF has already done that, and they've got that in downtown Tampa, and it is an attractive commodity for that university as they're trying to increase their standing, funding, booster support, on-field stadium. Like if you're just talking about empire building, they're set up very well for the next 20 years. Maybe Hartline is the bridge that gets them there on the football field. Maybe not. Maybe it's 2 very good seasons, and you're right. Ryan Day's failing at Ohio State. They've seen enough in Tampa. They say, come on home, Brian Hartline. Be the head man here, or we make a play for him. But this is a really good move for him, and I think USF handled this perfectly. Where they're sitting in the grand scheme of college football, they have navigated the last 3 to 4 years very nicely. But we'll see if he's successful there. That's what this all hinges on.
So for Hartline, the whole situation, he would love, I think, to sit at USF and establish something of excellence that is his, and then Ryan Day is on his way out, let's say, and he goes back to Ohio State. Let's remember, Hartline, of course, played at Ohio State and then eventually in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns, and then, made his way into coaching. But where has he done all of his coaching? Well, it's Ohio State. It's only Ohio State. And he moved his way up and proved himself. He started out as quality control after he left the NFL. I mean, because you got some money in your back pocket. And then from there, he was a receivers coach, did a great job, stayed that way. Then he was the co-offensive coordinator and receivers coach, even though he was never calling plays. This past year is the first year where he got to call the plays. There was no co next to his name. He was the offensive coordinator as well as the receivers coach. And obviously it's gone just fine. So that year where he no longer had to be considered just part of the operation, but actually the guy who had the pressure of calling plays for the Ohio State, launches him into this other place. Now he'll get his chance to prove that, and we'll see if in a year or two Florida State comes calling.
It's a cool case study. Right now, the financials aren't out there. I saw that question in the chat. It's just the term is out there for 6 years, but the financials I have not seen. I just looked, and even the local reports say don't have those just yet. So we'll see what the number is. But yeah, this is where I'd go, oh man, if it's 4.5 or 5, that's where I'd say, well, damn it, man. You take a swing for 4.5 or 5, because Mike's total would come down from 10 to 8. So, I mean, you got a half price Heartline at that point if he's at 4.5 or 5, but we'll see how much USF spent on him, and that'll be interesting. Also, the buyout terms will be interesting too, because I would think USF wants to protect itself, knowing that they're, for at least the most part right now, Quad A. They're not in the major leagues. They're not Triple A, but they're the team, just like what just happened with Auburn. They're the school that you go grab a coach from, and they're going to say yes to leave.
There's just so much happening simultaneous to Florida State's failings that you're going to have your head on a swivel. You're going to continue to look at your own school and see what it is we can be without having made the changes. What is possible while this guy is still in charge? Can you flip it all the way back to where it was when you had the undefeated regular season? Has that ship sailed? Obviously, where Tom and I stand on this, and we've had that conversation. But I do think that, unlike in past years, this I will admit to, there is a chance that this gets better. I mean, but they're a thing at Florida State. It's not about being marginally competitive in the ACC. I think that we got to get back to a place where we're competing the way that Miami is seeking to compete right now. And it certainly bothers me that in this conference right now, if you look at the ACC, Tom, what you're witnessing is Miami probably above and beyond everybody else in this league investing in football the way that they do in the SEC and the Big Ten. Like, not even Clemson's doing that right now. And Clemson fans have much angst because of it. If you listen to Clemson fans right now, and they're watching their program dissolve into this place of mediocrity. And their head coach seems antiquated in his view about recruiting in the portal.
This was a critical year because their recruiting has not been good the last 3-4 cycles.
That's right.
We have out-recruited them. We have.
Yeah, and right. And so they're very nervous about what's happening with that program. And then you look at, obviously, the boat we find ourselves in, which is nowhere near to the standard we need to be aspiring to. It's not even close. It's the reason for my anger. It's the reason for many people's anger. It's the reason that we talk about it seemingly daily. That, hey, look, everybody's aware that we're not anywhere close to where we need to be. And it's not solely about an anomaly. This is now a trend. This is 2 years worth. So you're starting to get very concerned. And you're voicing those concerns. But when I look around the ACC, which, again, this is not a great year for the ACC, and I'm watching Virginia and Duke play for the ACC title, with the potential of a 5-loss ACC team winning this league, which speaks more to their tie-breaking measures. But anyhow, that ain't good.
You're welcome, Miami.
But you look at now, like Franklin goes to Virginia Tech, and you see how quickly that impacted their recruiting class. And we'll see what kind of new car smell that, well, the influx of $250 million that they announced that they're pouring into that. All of a sudden, you get these real concerns you're being passed over. And you're not even meeting a standard in this mediocre league, let alone the standard to which you're hoping to compete as Florida State, which is for national titles.
Right. Yeah. You could say it without anything in your voice. We're last in the conference the last 2 years.
Yeah.
If you take the records, combine them. And it seems like next year's goal, because we failed to get to 6, 7, or 8 wins this year, it feels like that is the goal now for 2026, is to do the thing that you failed to do in 2025, which I think everybody expected before we kicked off against Alabama. Not that we would win the Alabama game, but that this would be a launching point season, not one that sends you right back to where you started before you kicked off against Bama, where you're hoping that you can raise the floor to an acceptable floor. So instead of the 2025 season being a launch point, Now it seems like the goal is for 2026 to be the same launching point with the same guy leading the program.
It's called kicking the can down the road, yes. Yeah, no, it's not ideal. But the financials were the reality, and that gets debated too. But I do want to believe that Florida State can be Florida State again. And I'd like to believe it can happen sooner than later. And what I was going to admit to a moment ago before I got sidetracked by my frustration is that we are lucky that while we are going through this crisis of confidence and this financial desperation and the frustrations that come with losing, we are doing it at the right time, oddly, because there has never been a time in college football where you can accidentally be good in a singular season after being terrible the season before. I say accidentally. I do. I think sometimes you can spend your way out of it. I guess that is intentional, but through no great football strategy, through solely money, you can flip your fortunes in a way that you could not have in yesteryear.
Yeah, well, that's another question that will be vetted by actions that we see upcoming here.
Coming up January 2nd through the 16th.
Do we actually have more money to spend this year than we did last year? I would venture no.
I would say no, and it doesn't appear that that's going to be the case. But
because House didn't exist for the first half of last year. So that might be the reality for a lot of teams, and that might take the market down and the asking prices down for a lot of positions. Maybe the market will be regulated.
Yeah, maybe we won't see $4 and $5 million quarterbacks.
Right, because the first 6 months of the year has no rules, whereas the second 6 months of the year has very strict rules. If that's the reality, maybe then the average contract comes down. But still, that still means I'm theorizing where, as we sit here today, unless there's a donor out there that wants to infuse us with NIL that we're going to spend, I think we got less money to play with this go around than the 20 some odd that we are rumored to have spent front loaded wise with the pre-House existence this year.
Well, and again, just so that people don't walk around crying poor mouth, Florida State had a top 25 roster in terms of money spent. You know, that's like if you're looking at how much was spent on putting together a football team, they were top 20 in the country.
Yeah, well, that's again, you get back to the hard stuff, which is, I think from the lifting they did, 5 wins that's yikes. I think they did a better job. So yes. On the personnel front, you say, well, you did better than 5. I mean, like you did a good enough job to get this thing off the canvas at 2-10. And you probably should have paid it off with 7, 8, or 9. Maybe between 7 and 8 is fair, but not 5. Like, that's the hard part where you feel dispirited. But if you're going to have 50 new kids in those hallways in the football-only facility this year because you started with 32 high school kids, I imagine you're bringing in, at least 10 transfers? At least? So if you have upwards of 45, 50 kids.
That's pragmatic, Tom. I mean, you can just look at the roster and what they have to replace. You're going to replace at a minimum. You need to find 3 offensive line starters.
Minimum. Mm-hmm.
That's a minimum, 3 offensive line starters. Defensively, obviously you got to replace
Darryl.
Well, I mean, even if you think Wynn and who else would you?
Well, this is the other part. You don't even know the scope of the problem yet because our kid's going to get poached.
Well, retention is about to be
Well, this is the suck tax. Welcome back to the suck tax because it's not only about making sure
I love
recruits.
The suck tax. Isn't it fun to talk about this again?
Not only that do recruits get a little bit more expensive to sway, portal players to bring to Florida State, but then also on the retention side because you're not so great if you do have a player like a Rawls or a Wynn or a Desir. They may be on rev share deals right now that are team friendly, Florida State friendly. I don't know how long that's going to last. So that influences what you're doing. And maybe the kid leaves outright. So you have a big portion of money that comes off the books and you can go redirect to the portal. But that's what the next month is about. All these reports that you're already seeing from the West Coast, UCLA, 2 or 3 players, or USC, 2 or 3 players, intends to enter the portal. That's the season we're in now, is what players intend to enter the portal.
And I am watching very closely, not only for the fear of what we might lose, but the possibility of what we might gain and go after. And then also to learn exactly how much money we have, because that will become apparent by who you try to sign. Who are you going after that's in that portal? What caliber of player are you going after? We'll also let you know what agents think of this program and the direction it's going in and what hope or lack thereof there is for it.
I would agree. Now, I do think that the agent in some scenarios would say, no, you're not worth it to go to Florida State at $400,000. But Florida State is very worth it at $650,000. Like those kinds of conversations, I would imagine, are coming. The sliding scale of value versus destination, which is the tax.
It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Florida Department of Corrections is giving a $6,000 hiring bonus to several correctional institutions across the state. Local news update brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a slight chance for showers. Daytime highs approaching 55, winds out of the northeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Chance for rain. Lows level off around 50. Storms likely tomorrow. Highs level off around 72. Overcast. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 48 degrees.
Hey, middle and high school students. Did you know that Florida's Bright Future Scholarship can help pay for your tuition? College might seem far away, but planning for it starts now. Your guidance counselor is like your college planning coach. They know what classes you need and other things you could be working on to qualify. These meetings can literally shape your entire future. So students, parents, make those guidance counselor appointments a priority. Ask questions and stay involved. Your guidance counselor is your best teammate for a bright future. Visit floridabrightfutures.gov to learn more.
This message is brought to you by the Florida Lottery and the Florida Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy? I was just thinking, I never tell you that when you grow up, one of the things that you'll miss are the games that you created with your friends in the neighborhood. Oh, good days. So I would have my buddy come over, and then we'd make up these games that were kind of like a hodgepodge of every game that you've ever played. Kind of like the bikes we built. Correct, yes. And it's a grand experiment. In the beginning, nobody knows how to play the game, and you argue about what the rules are going to be. And in the end, everybody knows how to play the game. By the end of that summer, you know the rules, the neighborhood know the rules, and you play that game like it's the greatest game ever played. But
and they still try to break the rules, right?
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But at the end, Eddie, you're never going to play it again, and you'll think about it the rest of your life.
And the best game you ever played was that game.
Never been a better one.
Hey, you want to have a Gordo Smash, Jeff?
I do. I'd like that. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff Cameron Show rolling on. Redemption Thursday. I actually didn't put together a bunch of wagers. I didn't see a ton that I liked. I was like, I'm not going to give Tom 3 games. Here's the 3. Maybe throughout the show, I'll gather a couple. There's a few that I'm looking at still a little bit closer, but I didn't have my normal robust list of games that I was excited about. So I thought, it's been signing day. We've got the weighty topic of conversation that is this time of year and the changes that might be coming, and certainly what we're hoping to see, combined with comments now from the head coach about the class, all that stuff.
That's fair. That's 100% fair. But the NFL, the next few weeks, I have looked at the slate
It's
because,
awesome.
College football and this town done. And it is, yes, very well spaced out.
Begins tonight.
Yeah.
What a game.
A lot of primetime games between now and Christmas that are fantastic. It's not that every Sunday's loaded, but they're just very nicely staggered out there for everybody.
You might argue tonight's an elimination game for these two teams for the playoffs. because you can make an argument that the number is going to be 11.
Yeah, you could.
That you got to get to, Tom.
Yeah, the Bears are causing problems for a lot of teams.
Yeah, so the number you're going to have to get to is 11 is what it seems like. And if that's the case, buddy, this tonight kind of serves as an elimination game. It's also the culmination of a hell of a run by the Dallas Cowboys and a fading Detroit Lions team that nobody saw coming. This game in Detroit, Ford Field, the ultimate test for the Cowboys to complete what would be a pretty damn impressive trifecta of wins to put themselves in a position to make a real run at the playoffs after that disastrous stretch in which they lost 3 of 4. But, I don't give them a lot of love for the Raiders game, but certainly you do for the game against the Eagles in which you trail 21-0 and come all the way back to win 24-21. And then you may have put the nation's fears at rest by knocking off the Chiefs 31-28. And the Chiefs stand at about, you look at various projections, about a 30%, 35% chance to make the playoffs at this point. So they may have done the world a favor by knocking off the Chiefs. We're all tired of their ass. So now you turn right around. If you beat the Lions on short rest to complete a run of Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, let's just put it this way. The Cowboys would be a team at that point that nobody would want to play.
Yeah, and they would be ahead of Detroit in the standings on account of the tie because they'd be 7-5-1 against the 7-6 of the Lions. So you'd be outright jump them in the standings. You don't have to worry about tiebreakers because their NFC record would be worse in this moment. But yeah, man, that's just the appetizer because on Sunday in the 1 o'clock window, you've got 2 excellent games. Indianapolis, Jacksonville being one of them here.
Look at the Jags right now, by the way. Look at the Jags. Give it up.
8-4s, both of those teams.
But the Jags right now are in first place with all of the tiebreakers.
With one of the most heartbreaking defeats that we've seen.
On the heels of a debacle in the fourth quarter, all the Jags have gone on to do is win the next 3 games after that. That would have broken previous Jacksonville Butts fans' hearts to a tune of, here we go again. But no.
Also at 1 o'clock, an elimination game. Steelers-Ravens, 6-6, 6-6.
I'm so mad at myself. When the Baltimore Ravens, and you go back, we had the conversation on the damn air, and I blew it. But the Ravens sat at one point at 1-5. 1-5. At that time, you could have taken them to win the division and gotten, I think it wasn't nearly as good odds as you would have guessed.
Yeah, because Vegas knew.
Because they knew.
They were like 4-1 probably.
It was like 5-1, I think it was. Yes. But I didn't do it. And that is silly of me. And now here they sit because we all looked at the Steelers and said, you're Fugazi. We don't believe in you, Pittsburgh. You're the same old sorry Steelers right now.
I've been saying that for 5 years.
Well, you've been because of their defense.
Yes.
But
when push comes to shove,
they don't get stops.
They get shoved on.
James asked a question in the chat that I did not get to, and he was awfully nice to contribute to the show, and I appreciate that's an extraordinary gift there, James. Thank you, baby. Woo! Apologies if you have spoken to this, but thoughts on Alford talking to Kiffin sort of shoots down the thinking that money is an issue with not firing Mike. Wondering why Ira Corey think now. I'm just going to tell you, I did feel like it was awfully convenient for that story to come out when it did to make it look like he was attempting to do something. I think he knew he was never going to get Lane Kiffin, and I don't know that was a serious attempt to get Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, the timing's good. They specifically name Alford. However, if you followed the reporting during this whole scenario of limbo that Florida State was in, Kiffin's name came up from us because of the previous time that Mike Norvell was potentially leaving for Alabama and the relationship with Alford. So that wouldn't necessarily be a surprise that he reached out at least to Lane Kiffin.
Okay, so let me make that abundantly clear. Do I think that the part of the story that has Alford reaching out to Kiffin to inquire about the Florida State job, do I believe that happened? I do. Because of the previous relationship the two of them have had, dating all the way back to Southern Cal. They've known each other. And Alford has told many people listening to this show right now, and you know who you are, that he loves Kiffin and that he's always wanted Kiffin.
That was the play. If Mike had taken the Bama job, that was real.
That was going to be the play. They wanted to go for Kiffin. He's always wanted Kiffin. He has a previous relationship with Kiffin.
Who had that? Staples, I think, said that. Andy?
When we had him on, it might have been. But Alfred has never been quiet about that.
Correct.
He's told people that on the golf course. So that's true. Do I think he realized there's no chance in hell they could have got Lane Kiffin, and that Lane Kiffin was always going to use Florida, LSU, and anybody else that may have been in that mix against one another to get the most amount of money that he could possibly get? Yeah, and therefore we weren't real players for that job. I think it looks good. It makes it look like you were trying to do something because you knew that this was fruitless, but I don't think you really, in earnest, were in a position to try to make a change there.
Well, and the other thing
or that you thought that.
The other thing regarding this point, I would say, is I think we all agreed on the staff. Like, we might have different opinions on different matters here, stark ones, different opinions, but we all agreed that they had the money. They chose not to spend it. Like, nobody, I don't think anybody's arguing across our staff, even like on the headline. Like, we all would agree that they chose not to spend the money. They didn't think the juice was worth the squeeze, but they had the money to do it if they wanted to do it.
Well, it's one of the reasons I've been so mad.
Same.
Yeah. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
As we get older, health starts to mean more. It's not just about adding years. It's about making every year feel good. That's why Capital Health Plan created the Center for Healthy Aging, where care is centered around what matters most to you. Through your personalized My Vitality plan, adults 55 and up get one-on-one guidance for strength, nutrition, and lifelong wellness, so you can stay active and confident in every stage of life. Call 850-854-8566 to learn more.
And here come the leaves, thousands of them, falling fast, covering every inch of the yard. But wait, who's this rushing in? It's the Lawn Johns with the ultimate fall cleanup blitz. From clearing leaves to fresh pine straw and mulch, the Lawn Johns dominate the field, your yard, so you can focus on what matters. Grilling, chilling, and cheering on your team. Don't let leaves sack your game day fun. Call the Lawn Johns today and win the battle of the backyard. The Lawn Johns, your lawn, our game.
Hey, everybody, it's Ed Dean along with Roger Henderson, also with FloridaDaily.com. Just want to remind you, daily 4 to 6 in the afternoons right here in Tallahassee on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Roger, it is literally the 2 fastest hours anywhere in afternoon talk radio.
And if you think the country's going crazy, we'll help you make sense of it all.
Oh, yeah, we'll try to make some sense of it. Again, Monday through Friday in the afternoons, Ed Dean, Roger Henderson on 93.3.
Water is your home's worst enemy. It finds cracks, soft spots, and weaknesses. But not on our watch. At Gutter Solutions and Waterproofing, we're veteran-owned and built different, driven by detail and the pursuit of excellence. We install seamless gutters, underground drainage, and waterproofing systems that don't fail. Because when you live with discipline, water doesn't stand a chance. Gutter Solutions and Waterproofing. Visit guttersolutions.net. With us, it's personal. A roof isn't decoration. It's your home's first line of defense. At GSWP Roofing, we treat every build like it's mission critical. We're GAF Master Elite certified, led by a former Marine. And we don't cut corners. We execute with discipline, precision, and materials that hold the line. Storm after storm, year after year. Repairs, replacements, full installs. This is roofing done by the book. No excuses, no shortcuts. GSWP Roofing. Online at gswproofing.com. With us, you're covered.
Number CCC 1335048.
Pay-per-view fights can ring up big bills, especially since in the Octagon there is one every few weeks. That's why the Seventh Hill Tap Room right downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill carries every single fight. Plus, unlike most pay-per-view bars, there's no cover charge. And drink specials too, like $3 select domestic beers and more. And if you enjoy international soccer, Seventh Hill opens early. $2 mimosas on Sundays, anyone? The Seventh Hill Tap Room, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, just downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
Jacksonville Jaguars adding to their roster. They have signed defensive lineman Matt Dickerson. He is off their practice squad.
He has appeared in 3 games this year as a temporary elevation, and now he is on the 53-man roster as the Jaguars get set for a big game against Indianapolis coming up on Sunday. Buccaneers have been without receivers Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan for a while. NFL Network reporting that the team is going to designate Evans for return, and they're expected to do the same for McMillan. We'll see whether or not they are going to be able to play when they match up against New Orleans. That's going to be coming up on Sunday. NHL hockey tonight, the Tampa Bay Lightning in action as they play host to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Florida Panthers are going to play host to Nashville. This Sports Flash is presented by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Getting more as a MyLowe's Pro Rewards member is easier than ever with the Lowe's app. Download it today and earn 500 points the first time you log in. Plus, your digital wallet helps you scan, save, earn, and access what you need to manage it all in one place. Download the Lowe's app and take advantage of your Pro benefits today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid 12/1/25 through 1/7/26. Offer valid for first login per organization only. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Additional restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for more details. Subject to change.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing New Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with New Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Go custom with your window coverings with help from Budget Blinds of Tallahassee. Budget Blinds brings their showroom to your home with dozens of color and pattern choices. Just tell them what you love and they'll make it happen. From designing custom draperies and Roman shades to color matching your blinds and shutters.
I'm Gary, the local owner of Budget Blinds Tallahassee, where you get beautiful style and expert service for any budget. Call 668-4835 for a free consultation online at budgetblinds.com/Tallahassee.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Love to compete on the dartboard? Then it's time to head to the CP. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is Tallahassee's premier dart bar, featuring steel-tip boards and soft-tip internet play. The Corner Pocket hosts leagues and tournaments regularly. Just check out their social media to find a time that works for you. And in between games, grab a pint and a bite in the cool AC, or enjoy yourself outside on the deck. Whether you want to catch a game or start one of your own, the place to be is the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachie Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
everybody else in the world of college football would have been very, very, very excited about, and less so currently. I think college football has a lot of problems, this being one of them, where the results of the conference championship games don't always matter. And that ain't good. That ain't good.
Or they matter for one team only, which is
Right.
even worse.
Yeah. And I am a little bummed by that. Now, that's not me piling on to the heaping stack of negativity that I espouse on a daily basis these days, but rather an observation of where college football's at. Damn it, man. Like, wouldn't it be something if the loser of the Ohio State-Indiana game didn't get to go play in the college football playoff? Woo! We'd be watching 1 versus 2, and it was all on the line.
This is where the SEC needs to get off its high horse and allow for AQs, because that would save this weekend. There would be danger for every team playing.
There's not a lot of danger in, say, the SEC championship game.
None. Not in terms of make it or don't. It's bye week or not.
It's bye week or not, or road or not, right?
Right, yeah. Home playoff game or not.
Right. So that's where we're at with that game, Georgia and Alabama. That seems unfortunate to me. I will say this. I do believe that the way the committee views every conference not named the Big Ten or the SEC means that there's a little bit more at stake in the Texas Tech BYU game than there should be for Texas Tech, because I'm not sure, given how precarious the Notre Dame situation is, I'm not sure there's a scenario that would mean that they are completely not at risk if they lose to BYU. I believe.
You think they'd be out?
I don't think so. I think they're going to be in. But I wouldn't chance it if I were them. I wouldn't chance it if I were them, given the way the committee views every conference not named the SEC or the Big Ten. And how there is some wrangling going on with where we're at with Miami and where we're at with Notre Dame. And so, you know, we already talked about the whole thing where they had to jump Bama a week early over Notre Dame.
For the guts it took to beat Auburn.
Because if they were to lose to Georgia, you couldn't rightfully move them up. So you had to do it proactively a week ahead of time, which is what they did. And, now if BYU loses, there is something else to look at with how this committee operates. Texas Tech has already beaten BYU. They'll play again. The first game wasn't all that close. Texas Tech should win that game, but, you know, stranger things have happened. If Texas Tech does beat by BYU, then Miami would move up and be one spot away from Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Now, hold on.
Okay.
I want to finish the picture here.
All right.
They're one spot away from Notre Dame. The committee has repeatedly said that they don't view them as being on the same tier. Well, you can't get much closer than one spot away. They're the exact same team. They're one spot away, and one beat the other. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to have the guts to keep Notre Dame out of the playoff?
My conspiracy theory, I'd love to see this come to light, is Texas Tech beats BYU, and they don't move BYU. They keep them right where they were. And they say, we're not going to penalize BYU for being
having
in the
made the conference championship game.
And that's going to be what they're going to run behind to keep Notre Dame in and Miami out. That's how they're going to do it. Now, Texas Tech needs to win, and they kind of need not blow BYU out.
I was going to say,
if it's 31-21, 34-24.
If it's a game.
I can't wait. If that happens, oh, buddy, I don't think they're going to move BYU. I think they're going to keep them right where they are right now.
I don't know, man. You're maybe right. You might be right. Like, that is so transparently awful.
That's who they are.
I know.
That's who they are. That's who they've been.
They don't even have, that would be so, God.
It would be so committee. They've already just moved up Alabama a spot by beating Auburn, while they told you for the better part of a month that the reason Alabama hadn't been moved up was because of a loss to Florida State. But magically, a win over Auburn's better. Okay.
Yeah, magically, they moved them up by beating Auburn by 7 on the a 5 and yeah. Well, again, they had to do that to insulate Alabama. They had to protect them. But buddy, can you imagine that? If they had the gall to, I mean, it would be the right decision. But could they actually say to Notre Dame, "Sorry, it's the way the cookie crumbles. You got a little unlucky. We think you're great, but at the end of the day, the one team we had to compare you to for the final spot was Miami, and, they beat you. Have a good day. You're out." The outrage that the very erudite and privileged Notre Dame fan would feel in that moment. Whatever is this?
Or what if Notre Dame and Miami are both left out and Texas gets in? You have to look at their schedule. They have one of the better wins. And look, they might have lost to Florida, but they scheduled very difficult. And we think that that's stronger than both the resumes. Because we couldn't decide between Notre Dame and Miami, we did decide on Texas.
Are you rooting for Duke to cause what we know this would cause? Are you rooting for Duke to knock off Virginia and so that the ACC does not get a team in the college football playoff?
I don't think I can, because that means that we lose money. Don't we get some sort of runoff? I think we do, don't we?
It's certainly not good for us if the ACC doesn't get a team in the college football playoff.
We should have waited for the lawsuit for another year. This would have been it.
God, this league.
If Duke won.
Man, think about this league. If somehow your tie-breaking system is in such a way that a 5-loss team can prohibit 10-2 Miami from going to a playoff, then you need to rethink this.
I should probably know the answer to this, but my rooting interest will be if we stand to get money from Virginia making the college football playoff, then I must root for Virginia. If Duke won and we'd lose no money because a Virginia appearance doesn't make Florida State any coin, then go Duke. I think that'd be phenomenal.
I am interested in, I think we're going to have a good time watching Tulane in North Texas. That's tomorrow. Both coaches taking it on down the road. John Summerall taking the Florida job. North Texas, Eric Morris headed to Oklahoma State. But the winner, 100%, is making the playoff. So that game is like the old times. This is what this weekend always was, and we celebrated and loved. This game will be the closest thing we had to yesteryear where you sit down and go, well, there's an awful lot on the line. Winner is moving on to a playoff. The loser, have a good day. We'll see you over there at the Cheeks Bowl, because they're all the Cheeks Bowl these days. Every one of them. Welcome to the Cheeks Bowl. Just a picture on the shirt of a butt crack.
With BetterHelp ads in every commercial break. From you.
From me. So that game is interesting. That's a 2-point spread. That's a fun game.
Did your football season not live up to expectations?
Again.
The following is a paid advertisement.
Western Michigan and Miami of Ohio. Again.
That made me wince.
You're like,
Yeah, this is where I missed the Pac-12 is this week. Because the Pac-12 would play Friday night.
Yeah.
That usually had a lot of consequence on the line. That Friday night kick. I know that they've moved stuff around, but I really, that was the one thing that the Pac-12 was good for, other than saving your bacon 3 times a year when you didn't want to go to bed and there was a great football game. You're like, okay, Oregon State has given USC all they can handle and more. Awesome. But it was the Friday night Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah, I do miss aspects, many aspects of the old college football, while also willingly admitting that, hey, there are things that when this gets settled, when they figure out some of the problems and loopholes in the sport, we may end up having something that we really like, and there may be aspects of that thing that we like that is a lot better than the way college football used to be. I'll admit that can happen, but going through this has not been easy. They have ruined a lot of things, including great rivalries and conference alignment and a lot of traditions.
Many hours of labor for this baby to be born. We are,
buddy, and it's better be the best baby ever. This kid's gonna go on and right the ship for all that ails us.
Looking like Clooney, Pitt, or Salma Hayek. One of the three.
Because damn it, man, this is not good. Because it's always traditionally, this is the weekend where you go outside. It's a little cold. Are they doing the parade this weekend? When is that parade? Usually it's because of the rain.
No, it's because I'm downtown.
Oh,
I want to be able to move about without.
Well, I used to always be a part of the parade, and now I'm not, so I don't pay attention when they're doing it. But I used to always love the parade, especially when my kids were a lot younger. We'd bring them into the parade. They were filled with awe and wonder. But it was always that angst you'd feel like, well, babe, I get that we need to go to the parade for the kids' sake, but you'll have to forgive me if I run off over to Andrews and catch a little bit of that SEC championship game. There's a lot going on here.
Does El Luso have a TV? Well, can I see through the window?
El Luso didn't exist back when I was walking in the parades, but we used to.
I don't think they do, actually.
But yeah, I would say to Kristen, I get it. We'll bring the boys. I'll stand there as long as I can. Then I got to go.
As long as I can.
But then I got to go.
I can't do it anymore.
Babe, I just checked the phone. They're tied at 7 early second quarter. It's a hell of a game. There's a lot on the line. You let me know when you're going to gather up the boys. I'll come back. Yeah, that's the way it was.
We were in it once. You were in it more than once, right?
I was in it a gazillion times.
You were forced to be in it.
I was in it every year that I was at Clear Channel, which was 13 or so years.
I only was forced into doing that once.
And I was in it. I've been in it once here, and I was in it.
Everybody wanted the van.
Did we ever do
Everybody
it at
wanted
ESPN?
at least to be the van duty instead of the walking.
But did we ever do it at ESPN? Did we do?
There's a story behind that. No, I don't think so. They did it before we got there, but I don't think we ever did it our first year.
I think that's correct.
Because there was a changing of the guard.
Yeah. But I just remember so I probably walked in that parade like 15 times.
Once was enough. I see Monroe every day.
Oh, no. It wasn't, believe me, the whole time you're like, the games are on. I'll tell you what, in the early days, I remember Eric Llewellyn and I in the old 1270 van. Good God almighty, that thing was a piece of crap. And we were in that van, rickety as it was, Jeep, actually. It was a 1270 Jeep. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
cool. Yeah, I think it was a Jeep. I think it was a white Jeep. But anyhow, we were in that. Not a good Jeep. Not the kind of Jeep you're thinking. It was a sorry, run-down piece of crap Jeep. Not a good, look at those great tires on that Jeep. No, it wasn't that. So we were in that Jeep after we beat Florida one year. It was a good game. And people would yell out scores to us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Dudes helping dudes, man. They were like, they knew we were stuck in the parade, and they knew. And it was before these things. So it was kind of like, we got to help a brother out.
Well, whoever wasn't driving the Jeep had the brown paper bag. I'm sure of it.
There might have been. There may have been some intake on those days. There might have been.
Get your beads.
Here's your beads. I used to sling beads. I will say.
You hurt somebody, didn't you?
I didn't hurt anybody. What are you talking about?
No, I thought there was a story of you hitting a woman with the beads a little bit aggressively by accident.
I threw beads into the crowd, but I don't think anybody was injured.
Well, Lauren would know. Maybe it wasn't you. It could have been another staffer.
Well, I'm sure somebody, people are soft. They complain about nonsense. I'm sure, oh, these beads. They're beads. Sweet Jesus. Get a grip.
They say X101.5 on them.
But I used to, I remember light up when you hand them a Reese's peanut butter cup. You're like, there you go, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the sheepish smile. There's one of two. Either the kid just loses it or they do this thing like,
oh, yeah, they're blown away. Like,
yeah.
Here, don't tell your parents.
Yeah.
How about that? That's an hour later. There you go.
Here's the second one.
Yeah. You want a Jolly Rancher? Of course you do. They're delicious. Jolly Ranchers have always whooped ass. Here you go. Here's 3 Jolly Ranchers. Get after it, kid. Don't choke. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, repairs and installation too. 222-7722. Parker Services. Comfort's just a call away. Parker Services. Comfort's just a call away.
Fall is here, and that means it's time to make sure your home is ready for the season ahead. At Parker Services AC and Electrical, a peak performance membership keeps your comfort systems running at their best year-round. Members enjoy priority scheduling, exclusive discounts, and seasonal tune-ups that help identify small problems before they turn into big repairs. Don't wait until your heater has issues. Call Parker Services today and ask about peak performance membership.
Parker Services. Comfort's just a call away.
License number CMC 050334, EC 130124140.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachian Parkway.
This is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. You've probably heard the saying, marry the house, date the rate. Here's what that means. If you love the home, do not wait on the perfect interest rate. You can always refinance later, and I can help you plan for that from day one. In fact, a lot of homeowners I worked with last year are refinancing right now and saving hundreds each month. Others are using the equity in their homes to invest, buying second homes or rental properties that are already building wealth. So whether you're looking to lower your monthly payment, get cash out, or start an investment portfolio, let's talk strategy. I'll walk you through your options and find the smartest financial move for where you are right now. You can find me at loansforknowles.com. That's loansforknowles.com. You can reach me at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. I'm Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage, and I want to help give you the keys to your next opportunity.
This time of year, we enjoy spending time outdoors in this beautiful North Florida climate until a mosquito attack begins.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control can help you take your yard back. We have an affordable program to help keep mosquitoes away. And our program even helps with other pests like ticks.
Mosquitoes are a nuisance to you, and by carrying diseases such as heartworms, they can be harmful to your pets.
Learn more about how Paul's can help protect you, your family, and your pets from mosquitoes. For the elimination of termites, pests like mosquitoes,
and a greener lawn too,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Do you want to take your yard back by having a green and pest-free lawn?
At Paul's, we understand the unique needs of your North Florida lawn, which is why we developed a program to address those concerns.
Our treatment program includes inspection, treatment, and education on best practices for optimized results while remaining environmentally conscious. An added benefit is that our lawn treatment is flea suppression, so having a greener lawn can help protect your pets too. For a greener lawn and the elimination of fleas too,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Oh, that's funny. My son was asking me about an exercise. I was like, yeah, you just do this.
That didn't make the camera. I made sure to give you cover for that.
Well, I was explaining something to him. He wanted to know about a certain exercise. I was like, no, you got to do it this way. And I was telling him what it was. And then you went, yo. So I thought the world was watching me show him how to do it.
I didn't see the cans on the head, so I knew not to take it off of the podcast.
You did a good job there. Roof One Restoration is a smart handle for somebody who might own Roof One Restoration. Yeah, that's a good job, buddy. To build a solid program would take a money commitment to high school recruiting plus paying to keep your recruiting hits each year. So retention, plus letting them play, so they can develop and get better and not be portaled over. Are we willing to suck for a few years to develop that base? And then he goes on to say, I don't think so. Well, I brought this up. I've talked about this with several people. What we'd be looking at with these changes to the front office and the soonest that the impact could take place. And we kind of all sort of a consensus thought here is, without getting into the machinations, it's going to take 2 to 3 years to see the real, or cycles for the real impact to happen. And it certainly will have no impact on the roster this year. Not obviously, since yesterday was National Signing Day and the class has been signed. And then also it's too late to just helicopter somebody in and have them really have an impact on the portal class, because you're doing an assessment of the said front office, allegedly, and you're making suggestions based on the operation. But this isn't, you're not going out and creating relationships as a new GM with the agents that are steering their clients to a school. These relationships and agreements are done in advance of the January 2nd date in which the portal officially opens up. The vast majority of these guys know exactly where they're going when that portal opens up. That's how much the process has changed.
Yeah, I think the more interesting part of the turnover for the 2026 roster would be on the coaching staff. Because if you bring in a coordinator from a different school who might have relationships,
might bring some people with you. Yeah.
Yes, you might bring some people, not just from the current roster that they're leaving, but then also they might have some portal connections that they've made and forged, to your point, that they've already done. And they understand that perhaps a kid like the 3-star former receiver from here who has 800 yards last year might want to come follow me. He was going to go to my old destination. Now he's going to come to Tallahassee. But we need to know if there are going to be coordinator changes. And I feel like that would be something that would be coming pretty damn soon.
Well, Tom, it would already need, look, again, we would have probably needed to already know this. A lot of these things. I would say it feels like, I don't know this to be true. It feels maybe a little bit like there's a game of chicken being played here between Florida State and a coach like Gus Malzahn.
There could be.
Look, they don't want to pay him to leave. They don't want to owe him that money, especially if he's inclined to want to retire because he's unhappy. I don't think the experience, it doesn't appear to me anyhow, that he just had this past year was rewarding. Now, I have not spoken to Gus Malzahn about this.
Good word.
I have not, so I don't know. He's not told me. Gus doesn't really want to talk to the media, so he sure as hell isn't going to talk to me. But, I do have eyes, and we paid attention to what was going on there, and we could certainly watch his reactions and hear his words, and, it didn't seem like he was having a lot of fun. And so I think he either wants to retire or move on somewhere. I'm sure he would maybe take a head coaching job if he could get one, if somebody offered him one.
He would do that again? He would go back to be a head coach again?
Yeah, he'd be in control again, man. I think it's hard to go from being a head coach and then to say, well, I know some have done it successfully. Usually a lot of times they're guys that get fired and that they don't have an option. And so they take on a job somewhere and they build themselves back up in the hopes to be a head coach again. But not too many situations where a guy is a head coach, steps down from being a head coach to go take over a role as a coordinator, and then, is all hunky-dory with it. I think it's because they want to go be a head coach again.
What's interesting is I thought on the hoof when they moved the press conference from Wednesday, where it typically is,
we were
going to
get an announcement today.
Yeah, but you know what? I saw this morning on the boards on Warchant, Gene put that he thinks that it might not happen till after the press conference that some of these changes are made. I thought the change in that media address was there to be able to provide some answers and clarity, but maybe not.
Well, the reason that I'm going to guess you would have thought that is that they did not want Mike Norvell to have a media availability and be asked about possible pending changes when we were on the doorstep of them.
When he would just answer, I don't know. In 100 words when 3 would do, but he would, that's what you're going to get as a redirect of, well, we'll make that announcement when the time is appropriate. Like, okay, when is the appropriate time? That would be the follow-up question. You don't necessarily need that, but hey, look, it's not like they got bowl practices to worry about, so they've got time here if they really wanted to take more of it. My question would be, all right, well, you got all 32 of them yesterday. I know it bled into late into the day. Jason Lopez went a little bit later than everybody was hoping for and expected, but he ended up signing. What would be the other reason to move it to Friday? Are we trying to land somebody late from high school in this process? We did last year, so maybe they're trying to score like they did with Harold from LSU and Tylon Lee like they did very, very late in the process in the window. Maybe that's what they were angling for. But it felt like the move of that press conference would be because Mike Norvell knows damn well after he gets through his opening statement and goes through every player.
That's the first question.
The first question is going to be about, yeah, that's great and all. What are you going to do now in the offseason to reshape the program?
That's great and all. It would be wonderful if one of us in the press one day did that. Let Mike finish with whatever opening statement he has. Yeah, Coach, that's great and all. What's going on with the coordinators?
Front office coordinators, GM, talk to me.
Any of it? Yeah. What do we got there? Can you add anything to the process here? I did see, and this did strike me as odd. You know how earlier I brought up the fact that as we're sitting back and observing this mess of a situation in college football and at Penn State in particular, crazy to me that yesterday it gained steam that Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, was maybe going to be considered or was considered a candidate for the Penn State job. And my thought when I heard that was, that's absurd. A, Penn State's not a better job than Alabama. I can tell you that. B, how was that broached? Who has the brass cojones to start that conversation? Kalen, you like it here? How would you assess the great state of Alabama and the fine folks that help pay your salary? You like it here? You like Alabama? You like the folks here in Sweet Home, Alabama? Do you? I mean, how would that conversation go?
Yeah, sometimes I don't get that sense.
I don't get the sense.
And I like to see people happy.
Yeah. And it may not be your fault, Kalen. Sometimes we're not always the most welcoming of folks. Don't know how much Alabama history you know. But we can be difficult too. And so what if there were places that made us both happier? I don't know. I mean, is that something you've ever thought about? What do I mean? Well, I don't. Why don't you tell me how you're feeling? Like, what would you, because you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it.
Well, there's a wild theory out there that if Auburn had won and Alabama was at that point effectively out of the playoff, that maybe moves would have been made and Lane would have been pined for by Alabama at the 11th hour. That's partially why he took his decision into the next day. Now, I don't know that that's true or not, but that sounds very much like something Lane would do and his agent would advise, which would be, if they bother to lose the Iron Bowl, they're going to want you right here, right now, and you're going to get the LSU-Alabama bidding war at the last minute.
I'll tell you what I think is not surprising at all, and nobody is in any way aghast at the fact that the athletic director at Ole Miss refuted everything Lane Kiffin said about how that process played out. And I don't think that there's a single soul watching college football and knows anything about Lane Kiffin's past that doesn't believe the athletic director. Kiffin, not unlike a lot of guys in these situations that have massive egos and want their cake and eat it too, and the whole kit and caboodle. I don't know how it is they're unable to just not blatantly lie, but they're not. They're not able to just not blatantly lie. They repeatedly lie, and for no reason. I mean, they reach back and grab lies that have nothing to do with nothing, that weren't asked of them. They're not even being dodgy. They're just making things up to make themselves look better. And that's something certainly the Jeff Cameron Show PR firm would advise against. Because it's going to be easy to find out if that's true or not, especially the lie that he made, which was that, look, when I was making the decision about whether or not to take this LSU job, I wanted desperately to be able to stay and finish the greatest season in Ole Miss history. They always get that out there, whatever accomplishment that has occurred. They're going to make sure they highlight that in the midst of their statement, even where it's unnecessary, right? Let's make sure we put that at the forefront of whatever the lie is about to be. You know, it's a difficult situation for all sides, all parties. I really feel bad for Ole Miss. I want you to know that as this situation played out, difficult as it was for me and my family, I desperately wanted to stick and be by the sides of these young men that I helped recruit to Ole Miss in the midst of having the greatest season in the history of this dear program. But alas, I was told that was not possible. And I did not get that information until Sunday morning. And you can't understand just how bitterly disappointed I am to find out that I will not be able to finish the job that we have so expertly put together as the greatest in the history of this program. It's when they do that, you just want to punch their face repeatedly.
Yeah. And they say, I was really 50-50 on this. And then I heard the voice of God after much prayer. And, he oddly sounds like Tim Curry, which I found strange. He sounds like Tim Curry.
He always sides with the money.
But he said LSU. He said Baton Rouge. And he whispered it. And I had to say that again, please. I didn't hear you.
Take the LSU job.
And I said, really?
Okay, dear Jesus.
I don't know that I want to do that, but I'll listen to you. I will go against my instinct here.
So Keith Carter, the athletic director at Ole Miss, said about that situation regarding Kiffin's recent comments. Lane Kiffin was made aware several weeks ago that he would not be able to coach Ole Miss in the postseason if he accepted another job. That's pretty straightforward. If you've taken another job, you're not allowed to stay at this one. That's how that's going to work.
Seems reasonable.
Quote, yeah, there's been a lot of things he said publicly that I'm not sure are, totally accurate. I think that both coach and his representation knew several weeks ago that coaching in the playoffs was not going to be an option if he were not the Ole Miss coach at the time. That's certainly one way to refute that, right? Kiffin claimed he was not made aware that he would not be allowed to coach in the playoff until 8:30 on Sunday morning. Quote from Carter, no, that is not accurate. That's not accurate at all. The only thing that was a little bit of a wrinkle in it was if Auburn had beaten Alabama, we were going to play in the SEC championship game. So that did throw a wrinkle in it. Not to say he would have coached in that game either, but with the shorter time period, that was maybe the only nuance. Absolutely, it was very clear that coaching in the postseason was not going to be an option for Coach Kiffin if he were no longer the head coach at Ole Miss.
And I think he would have coached in that championship game because he wouldn't have made his decision. Even though Ole Miss has set a deadline, I think Ole Miss would have caved and let him coach in the SEC championship.
Yeah, to win the SEC championship.
While he courted Alabama for the whole week.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It certainly makes sense that if you're Ole Miss, you're not going to allow Kiffin to coach the team on his way out the door to a quote-unquote rival. And, that was also, you could argue, the leverage they would have needed to try to keep him. It's like, hey, no, man. If you want to coach in the playoff and finish what you started, you kind of got to stay here.
Very simple test. You're playing in a stroke play event. A lot of stuff is on the line. Pride, money, whatever you want it to be. Lane Kiffin slices one in the woods. It's just the two of you playing.
Yeah.
He's walking in the woods. Are you following him or no? The answer is yes. You are following Lane Kiffin.
Found it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did, Lane.
Yeah.
Look at that. Drew a great lie.
Oh, my God. You got a shot right at it, don't you? Look at that.
Amazing, Lane. Amazing. Yeah, it was right here. Mm-hmm.
Titleist 2, is it? Wow. That is something.
It sure is.
Always seems to happen.
God must love me.
He told me where to look. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A Tallahassee man was sentenced to 3 months in jail.
Days are getting shorter, my friend. That's what happens in the wintertime. And while I love winter, I don't like the shortened days. Sometimes it leads to depression. You know what else leads to depression? Poor football. Poor football leads to depression. More on that in a moment. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/warchant and get on your way to being your best self. Yeah, Florida State football is depressing a lot of people. It's depressing me. It's depressing you. And we've got to talk about it on the regular. And sometimes that's what you need to do. You need to reach out to that somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, somebody that you thought, man, I should go have a cup of coffee and see how they're doing. Find out how the people in your life are doing. Communicate. Reach out. It's always a good idea. And that's true. Mental health as well. It's okay. Therapy works. And you'll ask yourself sometimes, why didn't I do this sooner? Talk to somebody that you can connect with that you haven't in the past to explain the way you're feeling. And you'll feel better about it. By the way, quality therapists, BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. Focus on your therapy goals. It's a short questionnaire. It's very simple, and it is private. You don't have to worry about sharing your thoughts with the world. This is what works. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out for a therapist for yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take the first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/warchant. That's betterhelp.com/warchant. betterhelp.com/warchant.
Download the free Beacon 24/7 Alerts app in your app store. Brought to you by the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the University of Florida, and the Florida Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy?
I was just thinking, I never tell you that when you grow up, one of the things that you'll miss are the games that you created with your friends in the neighborhood.
Oh, good days.
So I would have my buddy come over, and then we'd make up these games that were kind of like a hodgepodge of every game that you've ever played.
Kind of like the bikes we built.
Correct. Yes. And it's a grand experiment. In the beginning, nobody knows how to play the game, and you argue about what the rules are going to be. And in the end, everybody knows how to play the game. By the end of that summer, you know the rules, the neighborhood know the rules, and you play that game like it's the greatest game ever played.
But you still try to break the rules, right?
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But at the end, Eddie, you're never going to play it again, and you'll think about it the rest of your life.
And the best game you ever played was that game.
Never been a better one.
Hey, you want to have a Gordo Smash, Jeff?
I do. I'd like that. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
There is a collection of articles today in the world of college football, whether you're going to The Athletic or Yahoo, or you go to ESPN or Fox Sports or wherever it is you're reading your articles about the sport of college football. And I'm happy that many of them, whether you like the authors or not, they're certainly the principal players who cover this league, that cover this sport. It seems many have reached the breaking point in regards to the way that we conclude seasons and decide who makes the playoff. Now there's never been a perfect system, and I want to be clear to point that out, that in all of my years of either watching this sport, loving this sport, and then later working in this field and covering this sport, they've never been able to come up with a suitable solution that everybody jumps on board with and says, yep, that's perfect. That's ideal. Now, they're never going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to do that.
That's fair. But for those of us that have followed Florida State and saw what they did the first time around, a Matt Damon Saving Private Ryan thing happened to us for these people to finally wake up and realize what's going on here. Is like, we're the ones that went from youth to aged. And they're saying finally now, they're just making it up as they go. Yeah.
Yes, they are, everybody.
Hell effing low. Yes.
Was there anything better than Bruce Feldman this week?
Oh, my God.
I mean, that moment where he eurekas in somebody else's timeline, I think it was Kevin Carter or whatever, or Kevin
McCarthy. He used the F word. He was so mad.
Well, but like, I don't care about all that because we use that word all the time. But
sure.
I'm saying, but yeah. So that ends up happening. And on his official account at The Athletic, he tweets, this is effing embarrassing. It's like they clearly make it up as they go along. They're making a mockery of the sport. And you want to be like, yo, man, what have you been covering?
I was 29, 28 making, yes. We understood that back then with game control and body clock. What are we doing?
Yeah, no, it's absurd. And and that's why he got mocked a little bit, or why a lot of people in the industry. Now, listen, I respect him. I actually think he's a very good writer, and he does have great sources in that sport. And he's been a solid professional in his career. So I don't have a problem with Bruce Feldman. But, he's talking about how orchestrated and silly this all is. And I think it's not enough for you and me and every college football fan on earth to know it and to say it to each other. I work in Tallahassee, Florida, man, and I get it. We're streamed, and we can look at downloads and be proud of how many people listen to this program all over the country. That's cool, but I don't pretend to have the national voice that a Bruce Feldman does, or any number of other national college football reporters, let's say. You need more of those people working for sites like The Athletic or like Sports Illustrated or like ESPN.com to all say it in unison.
We need Pat 40.
Well, for the purposes of this discussion, it wouldn't hurt to have him say it too. Well, I think he has.
He was for Ole Miss keeping Lane Kiffin on to coach through the playoff. Anyway.
The point would be that you need those people saying this in unison at the top of their lungs. And I know it will not lead to necessarily the universal changes we need, because we can't necessarily agree on what those are. I have said before that I'd like to go back to the computer. Now, I didn't say that without the historic understanding that too was very controversial and had a lot of hiccups along the way. And I can remember the controversies. Hell, we were involved in one. You have a year in which Miami beat us head-to-head. We both finished with the same record, and we got to play in the national championship game. That's a toughie if you're Miami. And there's nuance to even that discussion. But, yes, it wasn't like the BCS always worked, but I did.
The BCS evolved over time, too.
It did. It got better, but we kept changing the formulas.
In the era we live in now, where most everybody can program, that's in the workforce, there's a lot of people who have at least seen what programming looks like. I think the computer would be the best it's ever been.
I think it would, too, and I think we have a clearer understanding of what we want.
Yeah. And you could still tweak that. It's different. Well, it feels cleaner than backroom deals and, oh, look at that. The SEC got the nod again in a 50-50 battle. Yeah.
Well, it's written in the deal right now that they get the final say, the SEC and the Big Ten do. So we understand how the system works. I mean, that it is clearly that was all set up because they were going to take their ball and go home. And the powers that be were fearful of that. And so they acquiesced, which is nonsense. I mean, it's rigged by definition, and nobody wants that. Even if you're a huge SEC guy or a huge Big Ten guy, you don't want a rigged system. You want a meritocracy in some ways. Now, I agree that the great argument that the Big Ten people and the SEC people will make is that, like, look, man, we should have an inordinate number of our teams get to the playoff because it's a much stronger and more difficult conference than, say, the American Athletic Conference. Well, you're right about that. Absolutely, you're right about that. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. There's nuance to this on every level. Absolutely, there are, look, man, 7 teams in the Big Ten that you would put in over James Madison. Let's just not kid ourselves. I don't give a damn if James Madison goes 12-0. You wouldn't. They can't. They have a loss. But you know what I mean. At the same time, you think there should be enough seats at the table since we've expanded and we're now at 12 and soon to go to 16. And by the way, if we had 16, we wouldn't be arguing about anything right now. This is one of those years you wouldn't be. You wouldn't be.
Yeah, there's always an argument.
Typically, that's true. I don't think this year there would be. I
mean, we've seen it with the NCAA basketball tournament, 64, 68, whatever the number is. Everybody's weeping on a camera.
Yeah, no.
Like that was an annual Dick Vitale rite of passage was he's going to cry for some team after the selection show and say, oh, they had the RPI of 57. What's going on here? It's like,
right.
But we would say, hey, man, at some point, if you're on the bubble in the first place.
But the problem is, though, that the inconsistencies of the applied metrics, like where we would get into these arguments were like, well, it seems to hurt teams that aren't in the SEC, but not teams that are, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think that's where the model, I think what we could all agree on is AQs within each conference.
You'd have that.
And then at-larges that are a small number, but then that's where the computer comes in and spits out whatever it needs to for 3 places, 4 places.
Problem is most of the time when you expand, this is true of the NCAA tournament, and it's true of college football, it still ends up greatly benefiting the big guys, not the little guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't give more seats to the little guys. It ends up giving more seats to the average teams from the big conferences.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah. Yes. There's a curve to it where there is a benefit to the little guys. Yeah, I think also there might be a way to change how many auto bids, and they would never agree to this, so it's never going to happen. But based on merits within the computer system every year, you're either a 4-bid league, a 3-bid league, a 2, or a 1, based upon how your teams do the previous maybe rolling average of 3 seasons. And it changes how many AQs you have. I think that would be the most fair model. But we're trying to reform a system where it's already stacked towards the Big Ten and the SEC. So that's the problem. You're never going to get like Rhett Lashley wanted. I think he wanted 3 AQs or 4 AQs per conference. You're never going to find that.
Yeah.
You better be happy with 2.
Well, wasn't he was a proponent of like 20-something teams making it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe it was 4 from every conference. And then,
It was something like 4 from the Power 4. So that's 16. And then from there, it was like the group of 5, 2 automatic, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have your at-larges, and that's where you get the computers to come in. Like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. At 16, I really think the most realistic thing is probably 4-4-2-2. But, the ACC and the Big 12 don't want to do that right now because they don't perceive that to be fair.
I'll tell you this. I don't like a system by which regular season games have very little impact if you're an upper crust team. You can, because you're in perpetuity. It's the straw that stirs the drink thing. You're going to end up having a schedule that is always going to be rated in such a way that even if you lose the most important games on your schedule, you're rewarded for it.
Yeah, well, and we've been living there for Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State the last 5, 6, 7 years anyway.
And I've understood to some extent how that works.
There was a free loss. Like, basically, you start the season with a get-out-of-jail-free card. We talked about that as it pertained to the LSU game, that maybe that would be a get-out-of-jail-free card. It was not. It was not in 2023.
No, it was not.
In fact, they just kicked us down the hill anyway. But those teams did. Ohio State didn't play for a conference championship at all and got into the college football playoff. And they were the first of their kind to do that, which sent a message that, oh, Lord, okay, there is a have
there have been a lot
not.
of messages sent. I mean, good God, TCU getting blown out by Kansas State in their conference championship game and then still going to the college football playoff when it was smaller was insane. Blown out.
Then they got that outlier win over Michigan.
And then got blown out.
And they got
as
blown out.
You knew they would.
Yes, yeah.
As we all
that
knew
was
they
Georgia,
would.
Ohio State. Was that the other game that night?
Was it the other
I think
game?
that was the one that finished right at midnight.
And we were just like,
that game was awesome. Well, no, Georgia, Ohio State was like, that's the natty.
Oh, we knew, yeah. Whoever won that game.
It's like when we played the Eagles.
That game was awesome, by the way.
It's like when we played the Eagles in 2002 in the vet. We knew this is the Super
that was
Bowl
today.
today.
I was thinking about that's the Justin Fields game.
Yeah.
That's
right.
the throw where we're like, oh, he's got that throw?
Yeah.
We could not have known that would be the greatest throw in Justin Fields' life. He would never again duplicate a throw that looked anything like that one. Certainly not as a pro. At no point. Now it doesn't even look like he can make that throw. Yeah. I do want more prominent people to call out the shenanigans.
Yeah, it's happening.
And I want it to be a very consistent thing.
It's spoken about as an understood at this point. So you're getting your wish. Be it anybody from the national talking heads, it's spoken about as an understood that they're just making this up as they go along, except for, the people on the desk at ESPN because they can't do that.
Well,
or they don't have the guts to do it.
I think one thing too is that I would never, and I don't know how much money you'd have to pay me to break my own rule here. I would never be a committee spokesperson. It's got to be the worst because you see the leaps in logic. You see the inconsistencies in terms of the week-to-week operation once you start the rankings. And you know that there's really, because the system is inherently flawed, no way around it. You're going to have to answer for something that there's no answering for, not realistically or logically.
Yeah.
And so you're just going to wear an ass beating Imagine, like, well, I understand your point there, Chris, but if I may, it was Bob. Bob effed this whole thing up.
Right, yeah, 6:37 p.m. Sunday.
Here it was.
There
This is when it happened. Reese, I hear you loud and clear, and we agree with you. That's a valid question, and it was one we posed to Bob. You see, Bob was sure that this team, which has lost head-to-head to two other teams ranked behind them, was the number 2 team in the country. But when we point out the fault in that logic to Bob, he then really tripped us up for the next 2.5 hours. We couldn't get anywhere because Bob refused to accept what is plainly obvious. And now here we are, me trying to make excuses because Bob.
Yeah, and Bob's direct quote here, "You're wrong, I'm right, so stuff it," end quote.
So you guys can blame Bob.
Yeah.
Next question.
Well, wouldn't that open it up? Allow for the minutes. Allow for the meetings to be viewed by the public.
Then there are times where, frankly, there's shades of gray. There's nothing you can do. Like, Bob's not wrong, and either is Keith. They both have valid points.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, because this is an imperfect system.
So we resorted to a die. Even numbers, Alabama. Odd numbers, Notre Dame.
I think people would appreciate that more. I'm not even kidding. Look, we think they're the same team, and actually their quality of wins are dead even. They each have the one loss. Both were quality losses. I mean, honestly, at the time the games were played, they both lost to a top 5 team on the road. Can't get mad at them for that. They both have 3 really high-quality wins. 2 of the 3 are both on the road. They're the same resume, guys. We flipped a coin.
1 through 3 Alabama, 4 or 5 Miami, and then 6 Notre Dame for the hell of it. Yeah. Just because.
Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Here's the cold, hard truth. Your body needs more than you're giving it to stay healthy. And now it's easier than ever with Vigor, the all-new cold plunge tub from Hot Spring Spas. Available only at Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas in Tallahassee. Cold plunges reduce muscle soreness, boost mood, improve sleep, and so much more. It's not just a trend, it's science-backed wellness. And now you can have it in your own home. Ready to feel alive again? Pinch a Penny has the exclusive home use solution. Visit us on Capitol Circle Northeast and take the plunge.
Big news! Café de Martín has been named one of America's best restaurants, and we want to celebrate with you. On December 10th from 1 to 4 p.m., a national film crew will be in the restaurant capturing the magic of our food, our people, and our community. Come dine with us, enjoy your favorites, and you just might be featured on camera. Join the celebration at Café de Martín, December 10th, 1 to 4 p.m. Café de Martín, where every plate tells a story.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test. Barry knows heating and air conditioning, keeping you comfortable. Here's what Barry does best.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Barry knows heating and air conditioning.
It's where you raise your kids, where friends become family, where every corner has a story worth telling. It's your neighborhood. At ABC 27, we share those stories, bringing you news that connects communities, builds pride, and reminds us we're part of something bigger. We are ABC 27, in your neighborhood.
Pay-per-view fights can ring up big bills, especially since in the Octagon there is one every few weeks. That's why the 7th Hill Tap Room right downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill carries every single fight. Plus, unlike most pay-per-view bars, there's no cover charge. And drink specials too, like $3 select domestic beers and more. And if you enjoy international soccer, 7th Hill opens early. $2 mimosas on Sundays, anyone? The 7th Hill Tap Room, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, just downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
WVFT Gretna, Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas.
Georgia and Alabama meet at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the SEC Championship game on Saturday. The Bulldogs are the 2.5-point favorites, 47.5 the total. It's the second meeting between the two this season. Alabama won the first meeting in Athens 24-21 on September 27th. Jacksonville wide receiver Parker Washington did not practice yesterday. He has 36 catches, 447 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's dealing with a hip injury. Jaguars 2.5-point underdogs at home to the Colts on Sunday at Everbank Stadium. Tampa Bay Buccaneers laying 8.5 against the New Orleans Saints at Raymond James Stadium. Sunday, 42.5 the total. Score $500 in rewards with the GBank First Bet VSiN Trifecta. Details at vsin.com/GBank. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Harnessing the power of the sun, delivering the highest quality drinking water, we are warming homes and fueling industries. And behind every service, there's a dedicated team. They're your neighbors, friends, and family. We are connected, and together, we are stronger. Day and night, rain or shine, the City of Tallahassee Utilities is working for you.
What makes Paul's Termite and Pest Control the best in North Florida?
It's our core values, of course, and they happen to spell Paul's.
P, protecting you and your pets from pests and your property from termites. A, accept personal responsibility. At Paul's, we realize it's up to us to get things right and strive to do more than's expected.
U, uphold company values. Those values include treating others with respect and understanding we represent Paul's Pest Control on and off the clock.
L, look the part. As representatives of this great company, we will always make sure that our image matches the character of Paul's.
S, support the team. Every job we do is a total team effort to create a supportive workplace.
P, protecting you, your pets, and your property. A, accept personal responsibility. U, uphold company values. L, look the part. S, support the team. Paul's core values. They make us the best.
For the elimination of termites and other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Hey everybody, this is Greg Tish, and I want to personally invite you to join us each and every weekday morning right here on Real Talk 93.3 for the Greg Tish Show. We have the best guests in Tallahassee. We play the funnest games like Give Me a Second, the movie clip game, and everybody loves a food segment every weekday morning at 6:45. So start your day with Tallahassee's morning show, the Greg Tish Show, right here on Real Talk 93.3.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
fact, I provided 0 games for Tom. Not a single one. No, Martha, your services are not needed today in the payment plan, but we'll see. I may have a little something before the show's end, and I may have something certainly for tomorrow's Libations Friday edition of the Jeff Cameron Show. In the interim, like you, wanted to learn more about the recruits that Florida State gathered. Yeah, I know. I'd prefer to see a number not 0 next to the 5 stars that they brought in. Unfortunately, the 5 stars are followed by the number 0. But
it's always goofy to me, too. I don't want to say it's as transparently farcical as the playoff committee.
No, nothing could
but
be.
I would venture a guess that if Chauncey Kennan signed with Georgia, he wouldn't be the 51st rated player in the country. He might be the 31st rated player in the country.
There's a aspect of that whole...
It's like a self-fulfilling thing.
Well, but there's an aspect of that business that I don't know that they could get around that. Like it used to be, like if Nick Saban got interested in an offensive lineman and he was a previous 3-star, it wasn't long after that he was then a 4-star because Nick Saban is now interested in that guy. But at the same time, what am I supposed to think, that Nick Saban doesn't know what he's looking at? I mean, maybe we're wrong. Maybe he should be a 4-star Saban guy, So there is some of that. I understand it. And that is the thankless job. I do think it's very difficult. Like I don't work in that field, but I've never really knocked a lot of people in that field for ranking a kid a 3 or a 4 a 3 when he should have been a 4, or 4 when he should have been a 5 or whatever, because I think it's really difficult.
This is the thing that I find to be more important than just a blanket blue chip ratio. There are low 4 stars that are borderline 3 and high 4 stars that are borderline 5. And Kennan is in the latter category.
Chauncey Kennan was a good get. Yes.
Top 100, top 150, top 200, top 250. That's the way I would look at it. I would get more granular than the blue chip ratio. I would look at that. Like how many of the halves did you beat out? I was going to do the Jim Lamar for a second there in order to get the services. That's why I paused. I was like, wait a minute. Something's wrong. Something ain't right here.
Do we still have the song? It's one of the greatest moments ever. Jim Lamar alert. Jim, if you're around, here you go, baby. Once a year at least.
No.
What happened to it? You better go find that thing.
I will find it.
That can't be lost forever. That can't be lost to time. It's one of the greatest clips of all time.
It really is.
Next, you're going to tell me that you lost the clip of Crabtree.
No, I have that, but you got to stop moving places. That's the problem here. You move too many times,
I haven't moved that many times, man. I haven't moved that many times. Sometimes I think I should have moved more. Sometimes I think I should have moved more. But
whatever do you mean? Is 3 and 13 eating at you existentially here, buddy?
When you find it, you let me know. We'll go back to Jim Lamar. No, so you were going to say that they had to beat back.
Yes, to beat out, I think is what I said. Yeah. I would like to look at it that way rather than 4s and 3s, because sometimes you have a better 3 that's a borderline 4-star player. I think if you get into the weeds a little bit more about 50 and 100, 200, 300, that gives you a better sense of where you're operating than the blue chip, which gives you a good picture, but you get a little bit better than that.
Colin says bringing in 23-star players, you might hit on 4 to 5 of them. The other 15 to 16 end up average role players that fill out the roster. That's why we struggle with our depth. Yeah, we don't bring in enough good players. That's fair, Colin. I would say this. I mean, maybe we're just quibbling with you might hit. I say if you make the 2 deep and you're a viable player as a 3-star, meaning that you're a reliable backup and you play, let's say, on special teams, that's pretty close to a hit, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Now,
I mean, I guess
you could also say, are you so depleted that by default this guy's going to be on the 2 deep because you're not operating well?
He's talking about a difference maker. Yeah, we get into this about the draft. I think too many fans in the NFL view certain draft picks as busts if they don't become full-time starters and borderline, all conference or Pro Bowl players. I think even within the first round you can differentiate. Did I draft this guy number 2 overall in the draft? Or did I draft him 28th? I think we have different expectations for the guy that gets picked second as opposed to the dude who goes 28th. And it goes on and on. 36 or 52nd. You're kind of like, a little bit different.
100% different. Yeah, I would agree with that. Same thing. Yeah, with a kid who's a medium 4-star, if he can give you as, say, a wide receiver 300, 400 yards in a season, like, yeah, all right, that panned out.
He's contributing to your success.
Right. He doesn't need to be your leading guy. He just needs to be with it.
Now if he's a 5-star, he can't be the kid that transferred to Colorado.
Yeah. Hakeem? Yeah.
Who, by the way, did nothing at Colorado.
Did he not? I figured something.
Go look it up.
Would happen. Yeah.
Go look that up. It wasn't like he did a lot. It's something. It's
9 catches, 81 yards.
Oh, 9 catches.
He outproduced that at Florida State last year, 16 for 187. Or was he gone 2 years ago? I don't even remember. Was he a part of the team last year?
No, he had the 9 catches.
Yeah, he was. He was on the team last year.
The 2-10 team?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
16 for 187 and a touchdown.
It felt far less
the one
significant
touchdown
than that.
against the directional school where you saw the 0 to 60 and you said, there
that
it is.
Was last year?
Yeah, that's how
Are
long.
You sure?
That's how long this period
We've
of our lives
just
has
been mired in this pool of suck for so long it drags down time.
Could have been 23. He did have a 44-yard catch and run in 23.
It was 23. It was 23.
Might have been.
Because we thought, oh, there it is. I don't remember him on last year's team.
These last 15 months have been the longest decade of my life.
We're pulling a Gus Malzahn on.
Yes. Hey, Tom, can you look up if Hakeem Williams was on the roster last year? Yes.
Yes, I can. He was. Not any good. So aggravating.
Yeah, well, obviously we thought we were going to get a little bit more out of him than we did. Questions.
I kind of will miss it.
Yeah.
I kind of will miss it.
You're going to tune in to, if he continues in the profession for coach speak, you're definitely going to check out his pressers.
If he goes to UAB, I just made that up because I thought, I was like, save us, UAB. If he goes to UAB, I'm watching every one of those UAB press conferences.
Coach Marlon O'Neill, Birmingham Intelligencer.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know about your rotation at tight end.
Well,
obviously we got a couple of guys that we think can play.
We got to work them.
So we're going to assess it.
So anyhow,
next question.
As he stares over at the SID.
Well, if he's at UAB, that SID's all right. Everybody, that's it for today.
First question, Coach. I was wondering that's all the time we have for you guys. Sorry about that. Maybe later.
He goes through the summary of the game. Well, I thought obviously in the third quarter we did very well. Questions. And as he says questions, he's walking out the door. That really sounds like the gizmo that you get with the teeth cleaning, that takes out the spit. That's what that sounds like.
I did see, and I got to double check this now. Okay, so I want to go back to this because I never finished my thought on this. I got sidetracked, which is easy to do these days, and maybe I'm in dire need of it. But let's go here to recruiting. Click. Who? Yeah, did Pitts?
He's getting to the age where he play-by-plays his internet.
No. I want to see this again.
Click on this drop
No.
down menu
I wanted people just to know exactly what I was doing.
Team rankings 2026.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is my favorite part. Let's keep going here. You have to load more, Tom. I'll click on the load more button. Hey now.
All right.
And here we go. I'm a clickety digging. And what do I got here? Here you go.
Sounds like one of our GMs.
This is amazing. Because we did this one time with us when we were angry. But this is, I don't think you'll ever see this again, and it may not end up mattering. So I did not know that certain sites will actually, they'll rank 190 plus teams. So like you can look up Merrimack.
Okay.
So Merrimack had one commit. They had one commit It was a 3-star. Good job, Merrimack.
All right.
Merrimack. Penn, as in, Ivy League Penn. They did not have a single 5, 4, or 3-star recruit. They did have 3 2-star recruits, and that gave them a couple points, and therefore they're in the top 193.
And a physicist who can bench 450.
Yes. So you can do this. You can go to Cornell, for example. They had 1 3-star, so they rank ahead of, say, Montana Tech. All right? So you can do that. Well, why do I bring this up? Partly because I was interested in that. I was like, I wonder what Colgate did yesterday. Well, you don't really know what Colgate did unless they registered a 3-star somewhere in there, because they don't do 2 and 1 stars for all the places, right? Colgate got them 1. They got them 1 3-star yesterday, Tom, and 5 total commits going to Colgate. Now, unlike most of these schools, you actually have to know something to get into Colgate, and they adhere to a stringent admission rate. So you're not just rolling into Colgate. But again, you might ask, why are you doing this, Jeff? Because just south of West Georgia and north of Prairie View A&M sits Penn State.
Whoa. Is that right?
Penn State was 153rd in the country yesterday.
Oh, man.
Bend over. 150.
Not with Penn State. That's out of bounds.
Oh, sorry. Sandusky's
out of bounds. Yep.
Sandusky's listening to the show. All right. So, man alive. You laughed and didn't want to. 153rd, Tom.
Yeah.
Sweet Jesus.
That's amazing.
That's behind Utah Tech. I didn't even know Utah Tech was a thing. They're behind McNeese, which I know. They're behind UAB, who fired their coach too, which was Trent Dilfer, who's terrible. Towson. They're behind Towson. They're behind West Georgia. Again, I didn't even know West Georgia existed. I know geographically West Georgia exists. I didn't know there was a school there.
Yeah, it's the western part of the state.
Yes, it is, Tom. Just like South Dakota State's in the southern part of the Dakotas. Yeah,
that's right.
So South Dakota State ranked ahead of Penn State. Penn State barely ranked ahead of Alabama State and Princeton.
Oh, wow.
Buddy.
You know what they did? They went somewhere.
Above and beyond. Above and beyond. Above and beyond.
Above
and beyond.
Anything I've ever seen in the world of college football. Penn State finishing outside the top 150 in the world of college football recruiting is my above and beyond VR.com play of the week.
Of the year.
What in the hell? Like, you would have just thought that a bunch of kids from Pennsylvania were just like, I don't care if they hire Cecil from down the street. I'm going to play at Penn State. Cecil may never have coached a day in his life, but I'm donning the white on white.
Okay, kids.
And I'm running out of that tunnel in Happy Valley. And the fans out here in the sticks are going to cheer for me.
Here's your letter.
In the way that I've always wanted. Yeah. So it could be anybody, Tom, and they would have said, I'm going. That's how it works sometimes. You get these kids that are like, I've always wanted to wear the garnet and gold. I'm going to wear the garnet and gold. They could be terrible. I'm going to go play at Florida State.
I'm the head coach around here. I'm Cecil.
So I can't believe they didn't even fall into like 9 3-stars at Penn State to say, yeah, we did better than McNeese. We were able to outduel Ball State, Montana State, and Akron. They weren't. They were behind Ball State, Montana State, and Akron, by the way. They were behind Eastern Washington with the red field. They were behind Sam Houston. They were behind Harvard. They were behind UConn. They were behind Cal Poly.
Remember when Ball State was the flavor of the month?
Yep. That's when
Nate Davis and all that.
Yeah.
It was Jason Whitlock went to bat for them.
That's when fat ass Jason Whitlock went to bat for him. Yep. Yep. They finished behind Kennesaw. They finished. Good God.
Okay, so what's harder to accomplish? What
in the world?
Going 2-10 with one real victory at Florida State, or finishing behind all of those schools at Penn State recruiting? I think it's probably the Penn State.
I think it's the Penn State thing.
That's really hard to do.
Well, if you want to, I mean, look, this is not sarcasm. I can argue that I'm very, very impressed that after amassing a grand total of 7 wins in your last 25 games played, many of which you really wouldn't count, such as the 1 from a year ago and 2 from this year. So you would remove 3 of those wins, Kent State and East Texas A&M and whoever the slappy was that we beat last year that wasn't named Cal.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Take those 3 wins away.
Those were checks cut. That's what those were.
You've won 4 games that actually you get any credit for. 4. That's all you've won in 2 years. And you still finished in the top 15 in recruiting? That's kind of a minor miracle. That does tell you that Florida State is still a major brand. Florida State still, it's a moth to the light. I mean, people are going to come to Florida State, and you are in the midst of effing this up.
Yeah.
The kingdom come.
You were in 20th last year and 14th this year. Think about it that way.
So you're ahead of schools such as Oklahoma, Clemson,
Penn State.
Yeah, just a bit. But I mean, there are a lot of big name schools that you're ahead of. Florida, Oklahoma, Clemson. Go on down the list. You're only just behind LSU, Michigan, Miami, Texas A&M, Texas, Tennessee, like that. Okay. What is interesting, and I think if you're looking at the Big Ten right now, you're like, wow. So Ohio State finished outside the top 5. Georgia finished outside the top 4. You have 2 Big Ten schools lead 1-2 atop the recruiting rankings in the form of Southern Cal and Oregon. Notre Dame finishing top 3. That's interesting.
It is. The USC one, it's an impressive haul, but that's numbers at the problem as well. So, like, for me, Oregon,
21 4-stars will work, though.
It will. No, hey, look, I take it. Don't get me wrong. But Oregon's class, to me, is far more impressive than USC's class. Because
a lot fewer,
It is top-heavy. Well, my goodness.
Yeah, they average in terms of the points.
Yes. Yeah. 5-star laden. Yeah.
Well, they got 4 or 5 stars, and they got 12 4-stars, it's doing some things. And you're right, there are numbers at the problem, but they got a 5-star at Southern Cal and 21 4-stars. I mean, surely you got some good players in that mix. And I'd like to think surely out of the 12 4-stars that you got at FSU this year, can 6 of those be pretty damn good players?
Well, if it happens, then that's 2 years in a row that you did pretty well with immediate impacts. Hopefully, one of the 2 linebackers, hopefully, is good to go next year between Isaiah or Karan Maycock.
That's my guy.
I know it is.
I had a suspicion, much the way I did when I said naughty to the Knowles, that Karan Maycock was
Texas
going to be the guy.
Texas was pushing.
Mm-hmm. Didn't push hard enough.
Nope.
You ever see that guy get stuck in the cave at I think it's the Putty something? He got stuck upside down because he chose the wrong chute to go into. They were doing the cave diving. Worst death I could ever imagine. Stuck and they couldn't get him out. Just had to die. Oh, they were able to contact with him and everything.
Of what? Suffocation? Starvation?
No, I think you can't be upside down for too long.
Dear God.
Yeah, it's a bad deal. He was with his buddy. First of all, this is nuts. Would never do this. They're all just climbing around doing the rock thing, which is crazy. I'm never doing the cave exploration at all. It's nuts. And you see these people get in these tight spaces. It gets so uncomfortable, but I can't stop watching it. I watch them all the time. And this guy, they were going along. And there's 2 different chutes that you could go to. One opens up once you get through it. Now, it's difficult to get through it, but you can get through it. Many people have. Then there's a false front one that leads to nowhere. It's just a indention that goes down to a solid rock. So there's no place to turn around. You don't have enough space. So he goes down, and he can't get turned around. He's just stuck, and he calls out to his buddy. I can't.
There ain't enough WD-40 in the world, my man. Can't.
Dude, can you imagine the moment they tell you, I'm sorry, Tom, you're going to die? I'm going to leave you alone with your thoughts. You're stuck and you can't move, and you can wiggle around all you want. You ain't going nowhere. you're just further cinching yourself in. What a tough way to go. Anyhow, aboveandbeyondvr.com. Let's take a look at these amazing properties, my friends.
Well, I just threw that in there as a value added, but yes, I'll pull up the properties now.
Actually, pull them up and write in the promo code JCS and see the money you're going to save.
What do you think of New Year's? What you want?
Yeah, New Year's is good. Yeah, being by the water at New Year's, weather will be nice. Oh, I think it's perfect. Get some people down there for New Year's.
2 nights, 3 nights?
3 nights.
Let's
do 3 nights.
Okay.
3 nights. See what we got on the aboveandbeyondvr.com website with all the money you're going to save. You know, you and another family go down there. You're hanging out by the water. You have all the amenities. You can be in a little chalet, or you could be in a mansion of a condo like we stayed in.
Yeah, 3-bedroom property for under $2,200. When you split it up amongst 3 families, that's nothing per night.
No money. Plus, you use that promo code. There's no middleman fee because they are not doing the VRBO thing. They're going to do you right. Aboveandbeyondvr.com. That's aboveandbeyondvr.com. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Jewelry's the best in town. For rings, diamonds, earrings, bracelets, and more. Pentalpha Jewelry Store.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show, for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pentalpha and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem, serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalpha.
Pentalpha Jewelry, Pentalpha Jewelry, Pentalpha Jewelry, home of the real nice guys.
Looking to upgrade your backyard, your business, or even your life? Then you've got to check out Southeast Portable Buildings right here in Tallahassee.
That's right. Southeast Portable Buildings has everything: sheds, cabins, carports, and now beautiful decks to go with them.
Imagine a brand new storage building and a deck out front. Perfect for that morning coffee or for your family gatherings.
Need something custom? No problem. They'll work with you to find exactly what fits your needs. Big or small, simple or stylish.
And with easy financing options, you can make your dream space happen sooner than you think.
Southeast Portable Buildings, where you're not just getting a building, you're getting a lifestyle upgrade. Give our friends a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400.
Southeast Portable Buildings.
Big buildings.
Big decks.
Big dreams.
Southeast Portable Buildings on West Tennessee Street, just north of Capitol Circle in Tallahassee.
Are you sporting around with a cracked windshield? That's not your car's way of showing character. At Seminoles Auto Glass, we replace busted glass faster than you can say, was that a rock, a bird, or a banana? We'll help you with your claim. We offer mobile service, and we promise zero judgment, no matter how that crack got there. Just go to SeminoleAutoGlass.com or give us a call at 850-539-4527. 850-539-4527.
Duct tape is not a long-term solution.
Better call Seminole.
Where is the best place to find Michelin, Firestone, Dunlop, Goodyear, and Bridgestone tires? Nice Tire and Auto Service. Where's the best full-service auto center? Nice Tire and Auto Service. They do everything from computerized alignments to brakes, tune-ups, and safety inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Interest rates and inflation are out of control. Is your credit card debt also out of control? It's time to resolve your debt and take back control for a lot less than what you owe. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, then you need to call us right now. Debt Fix Pros can significantly reduce the amount you owe, and you could be debt-free faster than you think.
I knew we had to do something. Our debt was growing.
It was getting out of control, and we just didn't know what to do.
We saw an ad for Debt Fix Pros. We called, and they showed us how fast they could get us out of debt.
It really was amazing, and now we're back in control.
Call now, and we'll show you how easy it is to fix your debt. The call and consultation are free. Call Debt Fix Pros right now at 800-576-7278. That's 800-576-7278. 800-576-7278.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
People yelling at each other. I just tuned in to the...
You are. No, you are. Come on, guys. That's where I misdirected Matthew.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah.
Let's all have a beer.
Oh, buddy. Got good football on tonight, though.
We do. This week, I believe you said 2 or 3 weeks ago, longest week in history. Nope, this one. Right here. This Thursday itself, this day of Thurs is...
Well, it started with the weather. It started with the weather, Tommy. You know, you woke up, it was gloomy and rainy and cool. Now, I like the cool. But you know, it's tough because you want to celebrate a class, and I consciously came in today to not just repeat myself, not because of being browbeaten. I don't care about people browbeating me. That's fine. And I also don't care when people disagree with me. I assume that's part of it. You know, you give an opinion for a living. There's going to be people who agree and disagree. That's okay too. Reasonable people can disagree. And I'm certainly not going to let somebody dictate how I do the show because they're, you know, sensibilities are shaken. But I would say that I admit that I have said my piece about where we're at, and I have clearly stated it in a number of ways, and nothing happened yesterday that changed anything other than we did comment on the story that Schleybaugh wrote regarding Mike Alford reaching out to Kiffin and what I thought that meant, which is nothing. And said as much. But other than that, there wasn't a lot to continue to bang the drum on other than, you know, hey, look, they signed a class yesterday. It was 32 kids. There are 12 4-stars in that group. There are a number of 3-stars that I find intriguing. There are kids whose profiles I like. I think throwing numbers at the problem is a good thing. I am always these days more curious about the ranking of these classes, not on signing day, but after the portal window closes, when you can combine the two. You look at the portal acquisitions coupled with the signing class out of high school, and then kind of make up your mind where that sits. And even then, you know, you're going to have to wait 2 and 3 years to get a better picture.
And what sticks out like a sore thumb right now, the good thing is, yes, signing day is only one part of the equation, is that the offensive line needs assets now.
Well,
and that's what they're going to have to spend the bulk of their money on in this offseason, I think, is of what they're going to have at their disposal money-wise. It has to be on the offensive line, a large chunk of it.
Well, and the word is that's between $5 and $7 million.
At the moment, yep. Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, that's between $5 and $7 million, which many people would find alarming. That seems to be a bit light.
It feels that way. However, the market could be self-regulated here by the fact that you can't front load contracts. So you can go 85 or 95, but you can't go 160 in a 70 anymore. So that might be able to bring some of the numbers down. But that number is so fluid, because if you lose a couple of kids that transfer out that you didn't anticipate you were going to lose, that were making good money, well, now you just got yourself a few more dollars to work with, or vice versa. It could happen where maybe you retain some players, and in order to retain them, you had to spend more than you were committed to right now, and so you have less money to work with.
Yeah, I think they've probably already spoken with a number of the players they recognized as people that they needed to retain. And
I hope so.
I would think that that's already been done.
The thing that concerned me when we were first guessing this whole process a month ago is somebody talking to those kids in the month between Stanford and NC State? Like, was somebody talking to them about their future in that moment? Because I don't know in that building if they know they're in charge. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're Mike or if you're Derek Ray or whoever you are, in the month between Stanford and NC State, were they having those conversations to ensure that 2026 was locked in? I hope they were. I hope somebody was.
But if you notice that a lot of schools, even schools that made changes, Tom, were able to procure and keep their kids. You're not seeing mass exodus from Florida.
No, correct. Yes.
But, and then this before Summerall, and even after Summerall, it's not like he's had a lot of time.
I would say, well, for the recruiting class, that's one thing, but we'll see about the portal. That would be the only thing that we're going to wait and see is how many kids enter the portal. My whole thing was, yes, the same point applies to Florida. It applies to LSU. Do you have, in Florida or LSU's case, an interim front office that can make sure that they're having these conversations with kids to make sure that rev share wise contracts are good to go for the next year? I hope we did that. And we'll see here down the stretch or the next month how many kids from Florida State decide to enter the portal that we wanted to keep.
The interesting conversation in the next 48 to 72 hours is exactly that, right? It's which of the coordinators, if not both, stay or both go. We got to find that out. That matters greatly. That's really what I'm kind of trying to dig at and find out about. And then also, because to me, this front office stuff, it's already happening a little bit more slowly than I would have liked it to happen, and certainly doesn't seem to reveal a plan. But they're starting down that path now. It's still going to take 2 and 3 years, not for them to hire, but for the effects of whatever this group does to be, tangible. And so, to me, I sort of sit with this and say, all right, what's next with the coordinators, and who do we lose? Who do we lose that is a major asset to Florida State's improvement on the field and gives us the best chance to see this happen more rapidly? I would guess you're going to lose a couple kids you didn't want to lose after this disaster of a run.
Yes, with no intel, this is just one of those things where as a fan you say, we kind of need that guy back. I'm not listing him in any particular order, but I think the 3 defensive linemen, most certainly you want to keep, the Desir twins and Juju Wynn, most certainly.
Yeah, Wynn had little to no impact in this year's season. Now, some of that was injury, and then they wanted to preserve his red shirt. So
correct, but with Darryl gone, that becomes even more of a needy area.
Yeah.
Jabril Rawls, Makai Danzy, Chroma, to name a few. Those are the top ones. And then Deuce, obviously you've got NFL considerations.
Well, that's about a draft
but if he's coming
grade.
back, I don't want to lose him either. Now, he has a rev share deal, as I understand it, for next year at Florida State. But
he's paid handsomely.
He has 3 choices, in theory.
Go to the NFL, stay here, or transfer.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That, to me, would center around who is going to be throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
What offense are you running? Who's throwing me the ball? And it's important to know. For all your commercial and residential roofing and construction needs, call my friends at T-Spark Enterprises, 850-766-1340. That's 850-766-1340. They now serve North Florida and South Georgia, the areas around Tallahassee, Monticello, Havana, Quincy, Crawfordville, Wakulla, Madison, Thomasville, Bainbridge, Cairo, etc. If you want a guaranteed win, call T-Spark for your next roofing or construction project. They conquer all peaks. TSparkConstruction.com. Of course, they're licensed. TSparkConstruction.com, not only commercial but residential roofing as well. Check out their website for all the construction services they provide. TSparkConstruction.com. License number CGC 1525336, CCC 1331204.
Your local news now.
The Florida Department of Corrections is giving a $6,000 hiring bonus to several correctional institutions across the state. Big Bend locations receiving the bonus include the following: Franklin, Suwannee, Taylor, and Wakulla correctional institutions. The Florida Department of Corrections says their officers start at $22 an hour, get paid training, and high-risk retirement benefits. For more information, go to their website, ftc.myflorida.com. The Leon County Sheriff's Office and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement have canceled a purple alert for a missing Tallahassee man. According to LCSO, 75-year-old Joseph Cheatham was found deceased inside his car around 4:50 a.m. in a parking lot near the Bass Pro Shop off Mahan Drive. A spokesperson with LCSO confirmed that no foul play is suspected. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
Now,
here's your Tallahassee weather report.
From the ABC 27 First to Know Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ryan Gold. Scattered showers will come and go through the day, and temperatures by lunchtime will be in the mid to upper 60s. As we head home from work today, the chance of showers will increase even more, and there could be a chance for thunder heading into the overnight hours. Temperatures will be in the upper 60s as we head home. From the ABC 27 First to Know Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ryan Gold.
Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
Do you know if you live in a hurricane evacuation zone? You can find out right now by entering your address at floridamakeaplan.com. If you're in an evacuation area, a mobile home, or somewhere that floods easily, you're going to need to be able to get out if an evacuation order is issued. Also, know your home. Can it withstand strong winds and heavy rain? Understanding your risks now helps you make the right decisions when the storm approaches. Know your zone, know your home. Visit floridamakeaplan.com today.
This message is sponsored by the Florida Division of Emergency Management and the Florida Association of Broadcasters.
The Jeff Cameron Show, a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I find myself, because you can only imagine how frequently that plays in my ear. The voice guy, that is. I find myself sometimes driving down the road going, now, back to Jeff. Just ridiculous.
You do that when the green light comes on from red?
Now, back to Jeff. I should do that, like if my wife is turning the attention to her for some reason about something. Like, hey, I think we should go, now, back to Jeff. She would be like, what are you doing? Because she's never heard the voice guy, I'm sure. I don't think, anyhow, at any point. I don't remember the last time she tuned into the show. It might have been in the car with Bryce. This is how a coach goes about a denial. We have a Jeff Cameron Show PR firm doffing of the cap.
Okay. Somebody earned some recognition.
Yeah. Kalen DeBoer. He was asked today, because this kept popping up, the very hilarious thing that you and I talked about, which is, how was this ever broached? The subject of the Penn State job, the names mentioning Kalen DeBoer nationally seemed to be in unison, that there was something there. And so he got asked about it. DeBoer, by the way, 19-6 currently at Alabama. They are ranked number 9 and going to make the college football
bumped
play.
up from 10 after that big-time win over Auburn.
Right. He was asked about it. He said, we're extremely happy at Alabama. We're extremely happy here. We love the challenge. We love the grind. We love this place. There's never been any link. There's never been any conversation. There's never been any interest either way. I'm glad we can put that to bed right now. I'm not going to Penn State. Not hard. Not hard.
He makes the binder.
You're in, baby. Now, the Nittany Lions coaching search is ongoing. Has been since October the 12th. My goodness gracious. That's a toughie. There are some other names that have been linked to that Penn State job, of course. Clark Lee, oops, extended him. Louisville's Jeff Brom, oops. Georgia Tech's Brent Key, oops. BYU's Kalani Sitake, oops. They whipped on all of them. Siggs barely got an opportunity to be linked to Penn State. It was like, they may be going after. And Indiana's announced that he's been signed to an 11.
Coach, we're taping you at your desk right now. We need you to start speaking.
Yeah, that was impressive from Indiana. They're like, no. No, you don't. 11 million per. What do you say about that? I think I'm signing that deal.
Get your hands off of my cigs.
That is the end of that. Man, that is impressive. They got a bunch of guys hurt for this game, though, the Alabama-Georgia game. And again, I wish, and I definitely lament, that the weekend is not what it used to be this weekend.
It's hard to handicap.
Yeah. It's very hard to handicap. That's another reason that I didn't hand you a bunch of Redemption Thursday wagers. Like, man, how do I even handicap? I mean, there's some games that mean something. I'm really rooting for Indiana to win the national title. Of all of the unintended consequences of a college football's changing rules and regulations, the one that I like the most is the ones that have led teams and programs like Indiana and Vanderbilt and briefly, a Missouri or teams like that to have a legitimate shot of going to a playoff, maybe even winning a national championship. Like to see it, to have the light at the end of the tunnel be a thing for them, for those programs. I do like that. I think having that sort of variety thrown into the mix in a way that it's never been in college football is a very good thing.
I'll ask you from a handicapping standpoint, since it is Redemption Thursday, taking a look at two games that are kicking off at 8 o'clock on Saturday, both with equally good teams on the field. Indiana, Ohio State, and Duke, Virginia.
What a great game, man. The Indiana-Ohio State game is fun.
Both of those games have 4-point betting spreads. Ohio State favored by 4, Virginia favored by 4. Which line do you think is truer?
I do think Indiana is a better team than the team we saw a year ago play this game. I would tell you that probably the Virginia line's truer.
You feel like Ohio State's a touchdown better or more than Indiana?
I do. Yeah, I think Ohio State's the best team in the country.
I think it's not because this is the best team in the league, but I feel the way about that game that I do the Sunday 425 kick between the Bears and the Packers. If the Bears win it, I'm like, oh, okay, you're for real. Not that the Packers are that great, but I still don't believe the Bears are, so I got to see the Bears actually win that football game for me to put them in a different place where I go, oh, all right, Chicago. I know the record says I should be respecting you more, but now I actually do because you went to Lambeau and won this game. Feel the same way about Indiana playing Ohio State. All right, Indiana, I think you're good. I don't think you're nearly as good as Ohio State, but if you win this game, never mind. I have to back off everything I think about what Indiana is.
So every time I start to wash my hands of the Green Bay Packers, they do something like they did a week ago and dominate somebody that I didn't think they could dominate, and they do it on the road, like Detroit, like they did. You're like, well, goodness gracious, look at you, Green Bay. I guess you got a little something to you. Defense has gotten better as the year has gone on, and if Love's going to play like that, you're going to have something. The Bears are weird because obviously, we've seen them play some games where you raise an eyebrow, but they're also new. And what I mean by new is obviously they're one of the oldest teams in the NFL, but new as in being a playoff contender. The Packers have regularly been a playoff contender. So you're less apt to accept the Bears as real. And, I think if you go back earlier in the year, they beat the Raiders 25-24. The Raiders are terrible, or the Commanders 25-24. Didn't they have back-to-back games where they did something like that?
I think that's right.
They looked bad against the Saints in an ugly game. They got beat up by the Ravens, and you're kind of like, oh, the Bears are whatever. They had to come back to beat the Giants, who aren't any good. That game's 24-20. So there are all these moments where you're like, I see you, Chicago. You're better. You're a lot better. Your quarterback's getting better. You got a better coach. I love the way he schemes up that run game. And what he does with tight ends, woo, they are nasty in the run game. And he puts them in motion and lets them just take people out. He's a good coach. He's imaginative. And you can see all of that coming into the play, into the fold here for Chicago. I think it's really mattered, obviously, that the quarterback's gotten better too. But I'm with you. I don't trust them all that much. But they have a situation where they have the Packers twice in 3 weeks. You'll know. At Green Bay, followed by hosting Cleveland, followed by Green Bay, at San Francisco, primetime 8:30, and then host Detroit to close out the year.
Yeah, the thing, I'd love to smash the Ohio State -4 number, but I don't think if Ohio State loses, they lose it by. And I think they know it. So I wonder about their motivation in that game.
100%. 100%. I've said I don't know that they're all that pumped about it. The only thing that gives me pause is that Ohio State, despite having won the national championship last year, which was obviously Ryan Day's ultimate double middle fingers to his own fan base after they castigated him for having lost to Michigan yet again, did say at one point, hey, not only am I going to beat Michigan, I'm going to win another national championship and we're going to win the conference. It's kind of a weird revenge tour for a team that just won the national championship. They housed Michigan. And now if in the same year that you go undefeated, house Michigan, and then win the Big Ten title.
The housing of Michigan, I don't have a dog in that fight. And I kind of root against Ohio State when I can because I'd like to see them fall. It was impressive.
Oh, they
It was
dominated.
very impressive.
They
Now,
dominated.
Michigan obviously is kicking field goals early in that game when they had a chance to.
They didn't have enough weapons either.
Yes. But then once that volley was over and they've got 9 points on the board, you just watch the strength of Ohio State over. And it was kind of like what we watched in the 4:30 window, unfortunately.
Yeah, and look, man, if you can remove the jealousies and the frustrations and the anger of the situation where Ohio State is as complete a program as there's been in 40 years of football, consistently awesome, great players litter the field. I kind of like the way they play. You know, there's an adherence to the run game. They're rugged. They have superstar wide receivers. The quarterback got better as the year went on. They began to trust him more, and you began to incorporate that in the play calling. I think one of the reasons we like Hartline is he is a former hard-nosed football player himself, got a lot out of who he was, enough to make it to the NFL and have an actual career, although he wasn't uniquely gifted, so he's a hard-ass. Coaches that way. Played at Ohio State, cares deeply, good recruiter. But the way he called plays this year as the season went on, they began to trust saying a little bit more. And you began to see like, oh, he's starting to.
Oh, and his efficiency's off the charts.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, I think that might be the most stakes on the line outside of a trophy ceremony and some confetti on Saturday for them is the Heisman, probably. If Mendoza outplays Sayin, Mendoza will probably win it. And I think vice versa is true. They're two of the top three right now in terms of the.
I really like Mendoza. I mean, I just like him as a college football player. I think he's a tough kid. I thought he was tough at Cal. I thought when we played him, he was tough.
He was. I remember doing the breakdown of that because the season had yet to fall apart. And
yes, that's correct.
He wasn't perfect, but there was a lot of traits where you're like, man, that's okay. That plays. He's got an idea.
Well, it's interesting. It's that way again. With the current quarterback at Cal. Same thing.
Yep.
That kid whose name I struggle to say.
Lord.
Yeah. I was going to make you do it, but you don't know it off the top of your...
No, sir.
Jaron Sagapulutele.
Much better with the Japanese name pronunciations.
Jaron Key Sagapulutele.
I just go with the initials.
SAG. JKS.
There it is.
That's what you do. So JKS threw for 3,000 plus yards this year, 17 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, didn't have a ton around him, and, had moments where he was really, really good. Early in the year when they were losing some games, if you went back and watched that, you'd go, well, it wasn't from, a lack of trying from that kid. He had a game and a loss where he was 33 of 49 for 279 yards, 30 for 47 with 323 yards. And 24 of 35 for 308 yards. I mean, he was really good.
So that kid would get you excited if he was announced to be transferring here?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think he can play.
I think C.J. Bailey's the guy for me. I know there are better out there, but I think we actually have decent receivers, and I think we've got more of them coming. And I think that a skill set like C.J. Bailey fits what we are a little bit better.
Give me JKS.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
A little 6'3", 235 with a howitzer. I like him. I do. But, Tom, at this point, I'll take like 39 other quarterbacks that I've seen.
Filipovich.
I like Filipovich. Come on down. Where are you, Filipovich? He and Bachmeier are the truth. Could shorter JKS even shorter to – what is that?
I got it on the screen for you.
Jeff, at least at last year's homecoming parade, my 6-month-old daughter wore a bag of candy squares in the face, including blow pops. Took it like a champ. Shake my head if anyone complained about beads. Bunch of softies. You're damn right, Brett. Bunch of softies. That's right. You wear that free candy and those beads. Can't clamor for beads. Get the beads and then bitch about how hard those beads were thrown. I got to get it to you.
Is that your Colonel Nathan R. Jessup beads speech?
Listen.
You want me with these beads.
I'm walking down the middle of the road with beads. You're way off on to the side behind a row of people. You go, because you want beads. I sling said beads. I've learned over the years how to throw beads. You can't catch. You're uncoordinated. Maybe you're a kid. Padap, you wear it. You're going to complain to me? Get out of here. Come on. And also, most kids would wear a bag of candy to the face. They would take the temporary sting
100%
for the joy of the sugar delight that waits inside.
They would also hope a tooth got knocked out because they would stand to profit off of it. Losing a tooth is a big deal. How much did you get?
I don't remember what I think I got $1. Bryce, what'd I give you?
$20? What the hell?
I'm a sucker.
That is
I would,
crazy.
I don't think it was. I might have been 10, maybe 20, maybe 20. He might be right.
Jeez.
I think it depends on the size of the tooth. If it was a Mac Daddy tooth.
You getting him a Mercedes for Christmas? What's going on here?
No, I'm not. But yeah, no,
$20. I got $1. Boy, that did not age well for me. Your dollar was far more valuable.
I remember one time it was far from a $20 bill. I gave them each like a 50-cent piece because I just thought the uniqueness of a 50-cent piece. Look at that 50-cent piece. I used to love silver dollars back in the day. Good work out of you, sir. Be well, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy the football game tonight. NFL is great tonight. Talk to you tomorrow on a Libations Friday. Until then, peace.
Love to compete on the dartboard?